Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis. It's time for another roundtable. Tonight I have with me Luke from Luke Batman Reviews, and the notorious Millie from Millie Acres, and Mike from Sergeant America, and Tom Wonky Ninja. How's it going, everybody? How many of you are buried in snow?
I was.
Yeah? So you spent all day shoveling? Is that what you did?
It's now ice now where we're at.
Ooh.
I didn't even dare go out in the snow.
Yeah. I'm happy to say where I'm at currently, there's no snow. It's raining, so we're having a heat wave where I'm at. So I'm getting the opposite end of climate change, if you believe those things. So yeah, we'll pay for it when it gets to be summertime and we have no snowpack and we are all dying of thirst. But I'm also happy not to have 3 feet of snow outside my door. So. But anyway, and it didn't delay my comics. My comics went west before the snow went east, so I'm a bit nervous about next week whether or not I'll get my comics if the snow hangs around or there's more of it in that direction. So fingers crossed, right? But anyway, let's talk some comics. We're going to start out tonight. We're going to talk Marvel. We're going to leave DC to the end because there's been quite a bit of news come out of DC. It started out as rumors, and now it's starting to sound a little more solid, so I don't know. But anyway, we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. So anyway, let's talk Marvel. What book do you want to talk about Marvel? What was the book from Marvel that was like, man, this was awesome, or I can't believe I'm still buying this? Anything?
Do you want to talk Miss Marvel?
Sure. It's always a great book, right?
Yeah, and I love this cover. So beautiful.
Yeah, Cliff Chang.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. I kind of liked, because the first issue I was really worried that it's kind of going to be this animosity between Kamala and Bruno's new girlfriend, and I was just really worried about that whole dynamic with the story. But then in this issue, we kind of see them team up, which I thought was just really awesome. And I think it just really shows how great this book is and how good it can be for girls that are reading it, especially younger girls, that these two girls who, typically in media you see like the girls fighting over the guy and stuff, but they teamed up in this to save the guy, and I just thought that was so awesome. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was my big takeaway from it too. Oh, thank God it wasn't a girl fight. It wasn't all kinds of ugly. They weren't bitter towards each other and whatnot. They could both clearly see there's something more important than awkward feelings and whatnot, but those awkward feelings are there, and I'm betting that it's still not going to be 100% smooth sailing. I still think we're going to get some bumps along the way, but I'm cool that it feels like that all is kind of the majority of it's behind us, because that was my worry is we're going to get this protracted 6 issues of this awkward hide from each other in the halls stuff. So I'm hoping that all kind of gets passed and whatnot. And 3 issues, and it's kind of done. The story's done. Now we get another story. I'm happy with that too. It's not really long, because I enjoyed the first volume. I guess we're calling it the first volume of Ms. Marvel. But it seemed like she fought the parrot for an awfully long time. This engagement with Hydra was fairly quick, with it just being 3 issues. So I liked that also. It continues to be a great book, smart on a lot of levels. So.
Yeah, and I also like how the story wasn't totally wrapped up, because we also see like the people are still really angry at Miss Marvel, because they used her face to promote this new community and stuff. So I'm kind of glad that they'll be carrying that over, because that was one thing I was really excited about, was the kind of seeing the community be angry at Miss Marvel. So how did she deal with the public hate? Because she wants to be this kind of golden child, kind of superhero, and she got that for a while. Everybody loved her, and now how quickly it all turns against you, and how is she going to turn that around, or if she can, that will be cool. Yeah, good stuff all around. Good stuff all around. For sure. What else? Mike, what'd you read Marvel-wise?
The only thing I got recently was the Moon Knight digital was on sale, so I picked up 17 issues of the last run. So.
Oh, right on. So you got a good mix of everybody in there, clear up through the Cullen Bunn run at the very end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about picking that up when it starts up?
Yeah, luckily in my store I'll be able to flip through it and make a decision. as of right now, I'm not. You know, I have to go through the full series and see what I think of it. Um, you know, I've been hit and miss on Moon Knight. I liked him as a character, but I've never been, you know, devoted enough to read like a whole series. So
Right, right. And of course, this new Moon Knight is going to be written by Jeff Lemire. I'm drawing a blank on who the artist is for it.
Brian Smallwood, I think, is going to be doing the art.
Okay, and it looks like it's going to deal more with his mental illness. Like,
yeah,
Yes,
they
he'll be
have
in a
him
mental hospital.
they have him in a mental hospital.
Mhm.
I don't know what I think of that, and I'm a bit leery on Jeff Lemire right now.
Yeah.
A lot of his superhero stuff just has not been really ringing completely true for me. So
Mhm.
I'm probably gonna give it a miss unless I hear from a swath of people on YouTube, you guys, and people on Twitter saying that it's awesome to pick it up. I like the character. I really like Moon Knight, but I haven't been real happy with the Lemire's writing on superhero books lately. So I don't know.
I know my
Well-
dad would be picking it up, so I'll probably just read it if he gets it.
Cool.
well, and when they said, especially with the mental hospital, I don't know if it's going to have that take like a Vision, if it's going to be totally non-meatheadish, where it's not going to be a bunch of fighting, if it's
Sure.
going to be a real, thought-provoking and all that. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that. Like right now, I'm not, so that's why I'm not reading the Vision. So
Right.
this
right.
week, this week is a non-Marvel week for me. So I just have my Iron Man blankie and.
Sure.
That's it.
Cool. What else? Tom, did you pick up any Marvel books?
Yeah, I got a couple. Did anybody read this Captain Marvel #1?
Yes, I did.
I want to hear about it.
I really liked it. I thought the art in
Me
it was
too.
great, and I don't really have any kind of a history with reading any kind of Captain Marvel, and to me it seemed really like new reader friendly. Like I didn't have to know who Alpha Flight was or any of this other stuff, that people knew and everything. I mean, I just kind of jumped in, and it was a really, really good read. And like I say, the art was amazing.
Yeah, Chris Anka's art I thought was just fantastic. It's colorful and it's awesome. And I love the way that he drew Carol so strong. Like, I don't know if I can get the panel in there, but like she has really awesome abs. And it was just so cool to see that because I love seeing like the female characters are like actually strong with abs and stuff. So that was really cool. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I like the way that it seems to be going. I'm not too familiar with Alpha Flight either, so I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
I was going to ask somebody to tell me about the Alpha Flight aspect of this because, of course, my experience of Alpha Flight is way back when Byrne was doing it. You had Puck and Sasquatch and Sasquatch was Sasquatch and Snowbird and the Shaman and Guardian and
Yeah, Puck, Sasquatch, and Aurora are in this. John Marie Bobier. They're all in this, and yeah, I enjoyed it.
but
Also,
no North Star, no.
No,
No.
not that I saw. No, not yet.
Okay. So and what? They're in space. They're running a what?
Yeah, they have a space station, and she's gone to take over as like commander of the space station, and it's a really, really nice space station. It's a whole lot nicer than like Stormwatch's place or something. It's really, really nice.
So basically, her objective is she deals with cosmic threats, deals with the stuff that's in space.
Yeah, in this one you've got like a asteroid that apparently is being like thrown at Earth, and so she's having to deal with that threat, and it was a whole lot of like character introduction. It seemed like to me, but I mean it was really enjoyable, man. It had like some really serious story going to it. It was funny at moments,
Cool.
Yeah, I'm totally digging it.
Well, cool.
Yeah, I really wasn't sure about it because the only Captain Marvel that I've really read was in the Secret Wars that I was reading the Carol Corps stuff, and I was like, well, this isn't going to be that same person, but really liked it. Might need to go back and look into some of that Alpha Flight stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, for sure.
So I picked up Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat. Tom, you got that too, right?
Love it.
Well, it's just a fun comic. I just think it's fun. I mean, I love the art in it. By Williams. I don't know. It's funny watching Patsy get mad because she gets mad. She kind of becomes more cat-like. She gets fangs and I don't know. She gets all amped up and she needs a few minutes to get kind of crazy and then she goes back to being calm and whatnot and she's dealing with just life in general. She's working retail and it's total hell like retail is. I mean, she's selling what is it? One-stop crop top shop is
Yeah.
what she's working at. And it is utter retail hell. I mean, and of course, she's trying to get some money because she wants to raise enough money that she can do a superhero temp job is what she wants to do. She wants to create this kind of when you're not being a superhero and you need to earn some money, come to me and I'll find you temp jobs kind of thing. So she needs some money to get it set up and going. So she's working this kind of the odds and end jobs. The other problem she has is her childhood friend, because of course Patsy Walker has comic books made about her as a kid. Her childhood friend is reprinting all of these comics. So now everywhere she goes, people keep recognizing her from the comic book. And you go up to her and going, "Oh my gosh, you Patsy Walker!" It's like her secret identity is being blown all over the place by all these people, exposing her, kind of a thing. And there's a great thing in here where she's like, how the hell do these people keep knowing who I am? There's like, you remember your friend is publishing these comic books, and she's like, those kids recognize me from the comics. Since when do kids read comics again? I don't know. I just thought it was funny. I gotta give a commentary on comic books right now and whatnot, but it's just fun. It's cute. It's not super serious, but yeah.
I think it reminds me a lot of. I really liked her in the She-Hulk series, and it reminds me a whole lot. To me, it kind of has that same tone that she kind of had in that She-Hulk series.
Yeah.
But I really like Kate Leith's writing. She just writes really, really funny stories to me. So yeah, it's hilarious.
I mean, it's clearly a little less serious than the She-Hulk stuff. I mean, she had a little more serious role there, but still, clearly, it certainly takes off from that. I mean, in this issue, she's just kind of bummed out. So at the end of the thing, she decides, she needs to liven her life up a little bit. So she uses the emergency call to call in all of her friends for a lunch. So all the superheroes show up. She-Hulk shows up, Valkyrie shows up, all these people show up, thinking she's in mortal danger. No, I just want to get a cheeseburger, and I thought it'd be fun to have a cheeseburger with my friends. Like, seriously? Squirrel Girl's like, yeah, I can get behind that. I'm starving. I don't know. It was just it was fun. Yeah, as far as all the serious comic books that I read and all the heavy hitters and whatnot, this is one of those books that I just get a kick out of because it's just kind of a fun, kind of a goofy, kind of a romp. I think Patsy's cute. I love it when she throws her tantrums and gets all kind of quasi cat-like and has to talk herself down and whatnot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think it would be cool if there was a serious, Hellcat comic too. I'd be all for that also. But this has been fun so far too. It's just as far as a kind of a goofy romp. So.
Because she was part of the Defenders for a while, wasn't she?
Yeah.
All right. So she's kind of a Doctor Strange and
she was married to like the son of Satan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, she's married to son of Satan for a while. She's been dead. She was killed. I mean, so they had this whole thing at the beginning that kind of at the front, Marvel's, opening page, and it's kind of a timeline of sorts of her, bad news. She gets fired and gets evicted. She finds out there's a comic book about her. And all this sort of stuff. But I mean, the first issue, it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I was married to the son of Satan. I was dead. That's another story. Oh, well, that's another long story. That's usually how she blows it off. It's like, that's a story I could tell you, but it's really long, and then she'll get off on something else, so you don't really hear the whole picture. But all that stuff did happen. It's all part of her life. I mean, but it's kind of stuff she's trying to put behind her to do this
I
new
thought it
life
was all hilarious
kind of
whenever
thing.
she was talking about, like, she liked that job because of the fact they weren't going to do background checks, and the guy's like, "Oh wait, you've got a criminal record and all," and she's like, "No, but I was dead for a little while, so that kind
That
of
throws up a few.
it doesn't show up well when
Yeah. When they do a background check on you, that's kind of some serious red flags when they discover that you're dead. So, yeah, it's like I said, it's just kind of fun. It's cute, kind of a play with the whole thing and whatnot. Her friends are fun, and yeah, yeah, yeah. What else? What else do you want to talk about?
Anyone else pick up Silver Surfer?
I did not.
So it's the same creative team that was on the last run, Dan Slott and Mike Allred and Laura Allred, and I really enjoyed it. I'm still really digging it. I love her. I love the writing and the humor. I love Dawn Greenwood. I think she's just a really fun character, and she has a lot of just lightheartedness to her.
Yeah. Is she the sidekick kind of that travels along with?
Yeah, I call her like a companion because this kind of reminds me of like Doctor Who and that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, but yeah, I'm really digging it, and this story was pretty interesting because it's kind of setting up like this whole new arc, and they come back to Earth, and Dawn has been gone from Earth for a really, really long time. So her family throws her they call it a Happy New Hollow Givings birth miss because she's missed like Christmas and Happy New Year and her birthday and all this stuff. So they're kind of throwing her this thing, and they're watching The Wizard of Oz, getting caught up and everything. And then what ends up happening is like all of the culture, all the books, and the music and everything is like being undone and being taken away. And then they have a little nice thing where they have like the Madman comic there being taken away.
Nice.
Yeah, and so they go up to the spaceship, which is the Hordax, and they're kind of taking all this culture. And this is really my favorite part of the book is the Hordax turn into all these different like fictional characters. So we actually have like front and center. We have like the Fourth Doctor. We got like the Kill Bill, Harry Potter. What else do we got? We got like the guy from Clockwork Orange back there. Just all sorts of different fictional characters, which I thought was just really, really fun. And then we find out actually that like the Hordax is actually taking all this culture to store it and make kind of like a database because there's going to be this big war that's coming. And so they're kind of archiving everything on Earth so that if Earth is destroyed, they have all this knowledge of Earth culture and everything. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. I don't know if I really want to spoil it. I guess I will, but at the end, the Thing actually comes in, and he's on a spaceship kind of traveling space. I'm not really sure why. I don't know what other book the Thing is. Oh, he's in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he's on a spaceship, and he gets possessed by this guy called Keeper of the Great Truth. And so he's going to actually be the herald to this guy called Keeper of the Great Truth, and like is going to attack Earth and stuff. So I'm really excited about it. I really enjoy this book. So
I'm always tempted by the Mike Allred art, if nothing else. I just love that.
yeah,
And that's so cool that he can put Madman in there because he of course owns the rights to it, so he can throw it in a Marvel book and it doesn't matter because it's his to do it. That's fun.
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. Anybody get Astonishing Ant-Man?
My shop got shorted.
No!
We can talk about it though. Go ahead.
I'll just say this. It's fun. I mean, it's more, kind of the same. The cover shows the whole Henchman app. That's not actually in this issue. In this issue, the Beetle shows up. She shows up. She's currently on hiatus from her lawyer job because she wasn't getting enough pay, so she walked out on him. She's got nothing better to do, so she's down in Miami, and I guess Scott has hooked up with her before, and so he's like, "No, you're a supervillain, and I'm having nothing to do with you because I'm a super." He's trying to explain, "I'm a superhero, you're a supervillain. We don't mesh. I don't get along with you." And the next panel, he's waking up in bed with her, going, "How does this happen?" So, so that whole aspect of it is funny. I just like the way she, the way she is. She kind of, she looks down on him. The character, if you read her in Superior Foes of Spider-Man, she kind of looks down on everybody else anyway. She's just a little bit better than everyone else. it's like, oh, I forgot, oh, disgusting, I forgot you're a divorcee, but she still messes around with him because she's got nothing better to do, kind of a thing. You know, of course, he's in charge of protecting Deirdre Darling at some basketball event kind of thing. That's some charity stuff, and of course, it all goes bonkers. The Voice, this guy called the Voice, shows up and messes with everybody, and it becomes a big giant fight. And he does have a conversation with his daughter, which was pretty cool and whatnot. And at the end of it, we get introduced to the new Goliath man, and he seems to be as big of a kind of a head case goof up as Scott is. So that'll be pretty fun when those two collide together. Just because, of course, he's Ant-Man, he's giant, and they're both just kind of I don't know. They both seem to be not real smooth at being heroes.
Yeah.
Could you show a picture of that giant man?
Sure. And
it's not Bill Foster, is it?
No, it's oh, what the heck is his name? I don't think this actually tells me in here. Here he is. Here he is, tied up in the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh, okay.
Embarrassing, because he was chasing like the unicorn or something like that, some villain I've never heard of. Right. And as he's chasing him, he's not paying attention, and he gets himself tied up in a cabling of I think he's of Latin descent. He was in some other comic I read. He was in it.
All right.
Trying to think what it was. That they needed some little bitter piece to get him to wherever. So.
All right. And he's going by the name Goliath, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, they all knew all different. Oh, Giant Man. I take it back.
Giant Man. Okay. All right.
He is going as Giant Man. I'm sorry.
Because I was just thinking there's only been like one or two that have run with the Goliath name, and I just worried that with this whole reset thing that they brought Bill Foster back. I mean, after his tragic death in Secret War, or not Secret War, Alien Invasion.
Yeah, and the unicorn, just for a comic book girl who might be reading, because I know she loves this kind of stuff. Wink, wink. He calls him Giant Bro instead of Giant Man. Giant Bro. But yeah. So we'll see. It's a fun comic. I mean, it's not the top of my list of Marvel books, but it's fun. I have a fun time reading it.
Yep.
Let's see. Any other Marvel?
I got Star Wars issue number 15. This is kind of like, I would consider like a fill-in issue, because last issue was kind of part of the Vader Down event that was going on, and that ended in, it was either Vader Down 2 or Darth Vader, the most recent Darth Vader, it ended. So this is kind of, I guess, taking a break from that and kind of getting back into the story and everything. But in the early issues of this run, Luke Skywalker was kind of going on his own, and he went back to Tatooine, and he found a journal from Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so he's been kind of going through that, and it basically tells the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi when he was hiding on Tatooine, kind of taking care of, or not taking care of, but like keeping an eye on Luke Skywalker when he was young, that kind of thing. So this pretty much just tells the story of that, and yeah, it was pretty much a filler issue. It was nice. The art was really nice. It's by Mike Mayhew. I quite enjoyed the art, but yeah, it's pretty much just filler issue, but I still enjoyed it. It's nice to kind of know more backstory about like Obi-Wan Kenobi and all that stuff. So
cool. Other Marvel book I got was The Uncanny Inhumans. This is issue 4. So after the last issue and the whole exposure to Black Bolt and Medusa's son as an old man conquering the world, basically becoming the next Kang and successfully taking everything over in the future, they make it back to the past, and they're kind of hiding out some of the stuff that happened in prior issues. This is some of that time stuff that I know some people don't like. They basically kind of faked that they were doing something in one timeline to get Kang running off after him to attack him, so then they could stealthily pop into back to the first empire of the Inhumans and the first king. because they know that's where their son was at to try and get him back while the excitement was going on. They do kind of manage to do that. The son, kind of does a turntable on Kang and pretty well messes Kang up pretty badly in this. He's going to be extremely powerful. The kid is. His abilities after he comes out of the cocoon, he can make like doubles of himself and multiples of himself that are either solid and can attack or be intangible. If they're intangible, they can actually fly into another person and control their body and force them to do whatever it is that they want them to do. And so one of the doubles ends up going inside of Kang, and he's instructed, Kang is, to go back and fix all the timeline stuff. And if he's to ever even think about messing with the Inhumans timeline again, that he's just supposed to kill himself. So I don't know if that permanently removes Kang from the book for now. It sounds like it sure would, because clearly he can't really do anything against them without potentially offing himself. So interested to see where the book goes to from here, because it kind of ends this, and so what's next? Now they've got the family back together again, the royal family. What's going to be next for the book? I really like it. I love the art. McNiven, his pencils are so wonderful. All the fine lines of his work, I just really enjoy it. I probably read it just for that, but Charles Soules does tell a good story. There's a nice emotional punch through most of the issues with dealing with the family stuff and whatnot. So really been digging it.
So I'm not familiar with this whole Inhumans thing that's going on, but are the Inhumans out to kill the mutants?
Not in this one. I mean, in this issue, well, in this run, they've got Hank with them. They got Beast with them. The furry version is hanging with them. I don't know if the unfurry version is still running around, right? But it's not so much that, it's the fact, and it's more that gas is my understanding is lethal or dangerous to mutants.
Yeah.
And the gas is kind of like all over the place. And I'm unsure exactly who it is that's released it all. I know Black Bolt did at one point. I'm not sure if he's the entire instigator behind releasing gas all over the world, kind of a thing.
Well, I was just curious because I read Uncanny X-Men, and in Uncanny X-Men, there seems to be like this Inhumans hit squad that is out there trying to kill off mutants, and so I was just curious if that was like an Inhumans objective.
Well, not in this.
Okay.
With this group, I know there's another Inhuman books that Crystal is the person that's in charge of that group. It's got a completely different makeup of different people, and I don't know what's going on in that one because I chose not to get that one. I didn't want to get both. I just wanted to get one. And I like the characters that were in this one, so I went with this one, instead, because this is the one that was going to have Medusa and Black Bolt in it, and I like those two characters. So I'm not 100% sure. Maybe somebody in the comments is up to speed on the other one, and maybe that has more to do with that. I know that that there is some sort of conflict because there's questions about why Beast is there. Beast spends most of his time in the lab, and he's trying to figure out how to fix this whole thing with the gas so the conflict goes away. I think it's a mutual kind of a thing. I think the mutants are taking shots at the Inhumans, and so some of the Inhumans are proactive and taking shots at them, kind of a deal. I believe.
Oh, okay.
But it only briefly gets touched on a little bit, so I don't know if that'll be something that's coming that we'll get more of, because Scholl is writing all of them. He's writing all the Inhuman stuff, so I would assume it's going to get addressed. I mean, at some point, I'm going to end up having to pick up the other book because I'm sure the two will bleed into each other.
Yeah, because wouldn't you think there'd be at least a mini crossover with that then?
We think it would be relatively organic too. I mean, they're not. I mean, they are all related to each other. I mean, and they're really related to each other. I mean, Crystal is Medusa's sister, right?
Yep.
So, so I mean, it seems natural for it to happen at some point, which I'm okay if it does. I just hope it doesn't become some giant event of some sort and whatnot. So Christina is saying it's the same for the all new Inhumans. a cloud is harming the mutants, and in that book, the mutants take shots at the Inhumans. So, whereas the book I'm reading doesn't really have to do with that conflict. I mean, that conflict is there, but they're working kind of on their own stuff. But it sounds like some of the other books, it's more of a directly related kind of a deal. So, yeah. Any other Marvel books?
Well, Uncanny Inhumans.
All right.
Uncanny X-Men. Yeah, really, really, man, like this issue. Grigland's art just amazing. They introduced Mystique in Mystique in this one, and I mean, she just looked freaking amazing on with the colors popping and just everything that was going on there. But I mean, I really, really like this book, but it almost seems to me like they're trying to create some type of like a Marvel Suicide Squad, and so. You know,
is that written by Cullen Bunn?
Yeah, Cullen Bunn writes it.
Okay.
But
Sabretooth is kind of fun in that one, isn't it? He's a little bit more lighthearted.
Well, he has to be a team player, which is kind of funny because of the fact that he's Sabretooth, so he doesn't really want to be a team player. But the back and forth between him and M is really, really good. I mean, because she just like wants to poke at him all the time, to be like, normally, you wouldn't try to think this stuff through, and like in this issue, they're going because the Inhuman hit squad is going and killing off all of the mutant healers that they can find, so that the mutants won't be able to heal themselves. So they have to go out and like protect people, which is like the exact opposite of what Sabretooth wants to be doing. So. Yeah, I mean he's still Sabretooth, man. When it comes time that he can like go in there and like start fighting, then by all means, man, he's been waiting for that all day.
I was trying to remember because it was a little bit. It was after Access. It seemed that they kept him somewhat lighthearted. He wasn't quite the bloodthirsty killer that he was, and I didn't know if that got reset with Secret Wars or not.
No, I mean he's not just all out killer, but he is. I mean, he's part of this team, and he's looking for a reason. I mean, just give him a reason, and this hit squad shows up, and they're like killing everybody that's in this building or whatever, and it's like he just all of a sudden flips a switch, and he's like, "Oh, you picked the wrong person, man. I've been waiting for this, and so yeah, let's go."
All right.
And then M's like, well, why don't you go and grab the healer and protect the healer? And he's like, no. I'm not protecting anything except I'm going to kill everybody that's involved.
All right.
But yeah, it's a really, really good book.
Yeah.
Drax is really good that Cullen Bunn's doing too. I read that, but...
Cool. Well, any others?
No, that's all I got.
If there's nothing else, I just want to ask anybody that's watching or in the chat, if you read Max Ride, if you had printing errors where halfway through the book it changed to New Avengers for like 5 pages and then went back to Max Ride. So if anyone else has printing errors with this book, please let me know. Because I don't know what's wrong with it.
Yeah, no doubt. That's so. What issue of Max Ride is that?
Issue number 3. And I think this is the second series, because there was one before this, which was like a 5-issue mini, and I think they are starting to back up.
Okay. So issue number 3, and halfway through the book, it becomes the Avengers, and then goes back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, here's the normal art and story for Max Ride, and then it just switches suddenly to Billy Kaplan getting eaten by, like, some type of Cthulhu thing. I don't know what is happening, but
nice.
Yeah. So, and then it's New Avengers for like 5 or 6 pages. It's quite a bit, and then it switches back to Max Wright again.
That is amazing. That is amazing. That printing error. We're talking about it off air beforehand, trying to figure out how that happens. Because my understanding is so much of this is automated. Marvel sends them a computer file of what's supposed to be printed. They print it. Machines staple it, fold the papers, and there's a human at the very end that picks up the stack of books and puts them in a box and mails them away to wherever they're going, and to Diamond or whatever. So that's just crazy. I just don't see how it could just be one. So
yeah,
I think we're all curious to know whether or not you've got a rare collector issue, or if everybody's that way and they need to reprint. You'd think we'd hear about it by now if it was everybody, though, wouldn't you?
Yeah. When I
But
checked
I don't
on
know anybody.
his,
But I don't know anybody who reads that book, so I guess I don't.
yeah.
Speaking of which, what does Max write? I haven't heard on that.
It's a James Patterson book, I believe. Yeah, it says James Patterson, Max Ride. I'm not actually reading this. This is my dad's book.
Oh,
And
okay.
he came to me with the issue and was like, "Have you ever seen this before?" So, yeah,
Right.
I'm not actually reading it, but my understanding is that it was a James Patterson novel first, and this is kind of like a comic adaptation of the characters and universe and stuff. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So,
Crazy.
I have no idea.
Crazy.
So weird.
Okay, so we got no more books. We got any news that we want to talk about, Marvel-wise?
T-bolts are
I
coming
wrote down a
back.
little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it looks like it's the 90s group with Moonstone and Atlas, Fixer. There's one new young girl, and then they're being led by Bucky Barnes.
Wow.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. Yep.
Yep.
So are you all over that then, Mike?
I want to be. It's the writer is the guy who did Skull Kickers, and the artist is somebody who did Youngblood, which I
okay.
didn't really know about. I kind of looked back on, and I don't know how much of it is the other artists that we sometimes don't care for.
Rob Life. Yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
And then how much is his artwork? Because I've seen some stuff of this other guy's, and I mean a lot of it looks like that '90s pop or whatever, too much excess, which some of me really love. So I can't wait to see if I can still dig that, or if he's changed his style. And some of it was more, some new characters, and it'll be interesting to see how it all goes. So.
Yeah, and this will spin out of the Avengers Standoff event that's going to be happening. So that'll like lay the groundwork for it all.
Yeah. Thanks, Billy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I gotta wait for an event to happen to get this. So.
Sure.
And when Tom said he thought that was the Marvel Suicide Squad, I think this will be the Marvel Suicide Squad. They want that Suicide Squad money on this one. So.
Sure. Release it about the time that movie comes out, huh?
Yeah.
In August or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Cool.
one thing, because I was looking at the news article for it, and one thing that worried me, and I have the quote the artist said here. The artist is John Malin, or however you pronounce it, but he said, "These characters have done very bad things willingly. No one mind-controlled them. They have made choices of their own free will, and that can never be fully taken back." And I don't know if he's talking about the other teammates, but Winter Soldier is in that, and I was kind of confused. Are they retconning Winter Soldiers?
No, I think he just totally didn't think about that. And
Yeah,
maybe as a
I was
leader,
like,
Yeah. I think he's thinking about the criminals, whereas
Okay, yeah.
I'm assuming that Bucky's going to be their handler, right?
yeah, he's gonna be the leader. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
So he'll be flagged, right, from from the original Suicide Squad. Yeah, he'll be the one guy that's the morality of the group, or the attempt to be the morality of the group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I didn't catch all of it, but I heard that Steve Rogers is coming back as Captain America.
Yep,
He's not taking his name back. He's just going to be Captain America also, with a awful looking costume, and a really weird looking shield, right? I mean, his shield isn't round anymore. So doesn't that take away part of the cool of Captain America? He doesn't have a shield to throw at people and bounce off a dozen people and then recatch. I mean, isn't that a Captain America thing? Isn't that a Steve Rogers Captain America thing?
Yeah, it reminded me of like the old like World War II shield is what it really looked like instead of the one that he has in modern times.
Right.
But that'll also be coming out of Avengers Standoff. It's going to lay the groundwork for that book as well.
So does anybody have an opinion? I mean, I'm reading Sam Wilson, Captain America, and I'm not 100% sure what I think of that. I mean, doesn't it seem weird that Sam's going to keep his? I mean, same writer's going to be writing both books. I kind of hope that they write about it in some sense. If he's going back to being Captain America, why would Sam hang on to Captain America? I mean, I get right now he's invested in being Captain America and putting his own stamp on it. But if kind of your one-time buddy, I mean, They aren't not friends anymore. They just kind of see differently now than what they used to. If he suddenly comes back to it, it just seems weird that he wouldn't give it up.
And I just don't understand why they think that they have to make him the young guy. Because I thought as the old butt kicker, he was kind of a cool character.
You mean Rogers?
Yeah, Rogers. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to see more story of him being the old guy and doing stuff, and we didn't really get to see a whole lot of that. Well, you know why? You know why they got to put him back to being the super soldier? All that movie stuff is coming out.
I was gonna say that and all the old farts like me, nostalgia. Yeah.
I mean, so and I figured it was only a matter of time, but I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Are they letting Sam Wilson continue to be Captain America because they don't want the fan base backlash of, oh, look, you relegated the person of color back to being the sidekick as opposed to, and take his book away from him, because that would be the other thing I would think would happen, would be that they'd take his book away from him if he suddenly and Ryan C's telling me, it's the 75th anniversary of of Captain America also. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I feel about it. I need to talk to some other people I know that read the books. I don't have any intentions of picking up the Steve Rogers, Captain America, and whatnot. The Sam Wilson one has been fun. If it suddenly dramatically changes, I don't know if I'll keep getting it. But there could be some good story there. I just think it's weird that he would hang on to the name. It just seems odd. Anyway. Any other news?
They released that Dead No More teaser, which I guess is hinting at a character coming back. I know people are talking about like Wolverine, maybe Richard Rider Nova, Namor, and Uatu the Watcher. Those are kind of like the big ones that are kind of going around, along with I think Jean Grey, not the young one that's kind of like in now, but I guess.
Oh,
she's coming back to your books, Travis.
They'll just chase me away like nobody's business. I can't stand that woman.
Well, and I thought they also had somebody had mentioned that there was a hint that it was Feel My Sting was also out
there's
there.
Another one, right? That's another ad running, the Feel My Sting, which would be the Wasp, right?
Yeah, she'll be introduced in a free comic book day issue.
All right.
Yeah. Oh no. No, please not Jean Grey. Anybody but that. It's the Dark Phoenix again. Oh.
Yeah.
Again.
And then,
all new, all different. Remember, all new, all different.
And then the last two things are just kind of movie stuff. But Benedict Wong was cast as Wong in Doctor Strange.
Right.
And Charlie Cox did an interview. He said if Daredevil is in Avengers Infinity War, it will probably be played by someone else because they're two separate entities, the Netflix and the movie thing, which I wouldn't be too enthused about, but I guess I see why they would do that. I don't know. It's just...
I don't see what the point of putting Daredevil in it is for. What pivotal role other than there are 67 named characters in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's heroes. I mean, is that implying that there's that many heroes in it?
Yeah, and I think it'll be that number spread out between the two parts because it'll be a two-part movie.
Sure.
So,
but I mean, having all those in there, people are like going, "Oh my gosh!" It's not like they're all going to have lines.
Yeah.
They're gonna have a stunt double back there wearing, whoever's costume, running around in the background. It's not like it's going to be. They're all going to be throwing out massive dialogue. I think you're just going to get flashes of whatever.
I believe Ben Affleck does have one more Daredevil movie in his contract that he was. I'm just saying. That's what I thought. So.
Right on. Bring him back.
Next time we have coffee, I'll ask him. But.
So what you're saying is he's going to get beat up a lot if he's in the movie. Is what you're saying, right? Okay. So I just don't see what will be the need of having him in there, other than to, like I said, just have somebody in the costume running across the screen to show, this is all the levels that the whole Civil War thing is affecting and whatnot. Because like I said, with that many characters in it, I'm assuming they're not having named parts. Lots of them are just going to be for those of us who know the universe, we're going to be watching the movie and going, ooh, there's, there's so-and-so and there's so-and-so, while the people who don't read comics are sitting next to us going, what is your problem? Right? That's my personal experience with most of those kind of movies anyway. So
Yeah.
It's going to be like that Civil War when they open up and there's the meeting, and so every superhero
Sure.
possible is in the meeting together. Yeah.
Right.
That way you can say your character was in a movie.
Sure. Well, just like comic books are that way lots of times too, right? You get these big grand things where they're all in this, and they're just these little, you look at the crowd shot and you can see all those, all those odd characters in the background that generally don't have a lot of meaning, but they throw them in occasionally just to like keep the copyrights on them. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't need that. So as far as Daredevil being there, I don't see what the point would be. But yeah. Cool. Anything else?
I didn't see anything else.
Okay. I can't think of anything either.
Millie didn't see it. It didn't exist.
Yeah, honestly, clearly. Clearly. Okay, so let's roll on to independent books. I have a giant, ugly stack of independent books. I will not talk about all the independent books on here. I will say this. Oddly, this week, for whatever it's worth, about half of my independent books had naked people in it. And I don't know what it was about this week. They all had naked people. I don't know. It's really strange.
There seemed to be kind of an overabundance of like cussing, that like especially like in Clean Room, that you had just like
I think
she
the
did whole
cussing was probably
dialogue
like the least
boxes.
of the worries in Clean Room.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like she did whole dialogue boxes that were just one curse word, and then later on, like she does. There's another one that it made sense.
Yeah, there are a lot of books that are that way. I noticed that with not just the Vertigo books, but with all my Image books and whatnot too. That's the other thing. Between the let's talk Clean Room. Yeah, between the boobs and the swearing. Yeah, it was like
the wallpaper of naked people. That's what really caught me.
That's an awesome room. Good God. Good grief. The orgy room. Yeah.
Orgy room. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that and when he's out, that guy is outside too. I mean, he's clearly extremely fixated on his passion, as it were. Yeah. So the Clean Room, issue number 4. What do we think?
This one, it was good. I don't know if I just gotta go back and reread some. I'm having trouble just keeping track who's who. For some reason, I know you got the person who does the room, and then you got the neighbors and the girl that the neighbors are. Outside of that, I'm kind of having trouble keeping line on everybody.
Well, with the neighbors, I was surprised that she cared so much about them. I thought they were going to be these dirty rednecks that she didn't want anything to do with, but she actually was concerned for how they were. So I was a little surprised by that.
I like those guys. I mean, they're they're like Daryl and Daryl, right? But they're like the good old boy neighbors that are just they are. They're a little redneckish, but they're generally concerned about her well-being. And so they were over there harassing that guy and got the crap kicked out of him, and they broke her house, and they're trying to fix her house, and they care. I don't know. I kind of like that. I mean, I think that was a good turn. A good turn of what we stereotypically saw. Oh, it's a bunch of hillbillies with trucker caps and beards. They're going to be. They're going to be this, and they're a little more than that. They're actually good guys that seem to be pretty caring and whatnot. So,
and even the things with them, where the one guy lost his ears, and he goes, "Well, it was lost his ear because the guy tore it off." He's like, "That was kind of more of an oops than anything." And Bobby broke your window, and how did Bobby break my window? He was thrown through in it.
Right.
I liked that the guy that didn't have an ear kept repeating himself. Like anytime that anybody would say anything, like he would repeat because he couldn't hear because he didn't have an ear. Freaking hilarious.
Yeah. And of course, we have this whole entity that they've got trapped in the Clean Room right now. It's clearly some. For lack of any other definition for us to call it anything else at this point, I'm calling it a demon. It clearly could be some alien entity from the void. Simply because I come from a quasi-Christian background, I guess it's easiest for me to call it, and call it a demon. I thought she had it trapped, but now clearly they don't have it trapped. I mean, it's they've kind of screwed that whole thing up. It seems like her backup that was in the room with her kind of screwed the pooch on that. This is some entity that supposedly messed with her when she was a child, because this our main one of the main characters in this what is her name? Astrid. Is it Astrid? Why do I want to call it Astrid?
Astrid's the head of the company.
Right. So she when she was a little girl, she got ran over with a truck. This is the same thing that ran her over as a truck. It's still come back to get her. I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot going on, and I'm curious to see how it's all going to tie in. Because of course, at the end of the book, we have yet another entity that, for like I said, like everything else, I'm going to call it as another demon, like a demon, the demon of suicide or something, is messing with our other main character, the young reporter, who's now been fired. That he's there kind of to help encourage her to off herself. So I'm curious, is she going to take the job? Is she going to take the job from, from the Rook, the lady that was trying to have sex with her in the last issue and whatnot? And I just love how brash. I love how brash that woman is. She calls her up and goes, "Yeah, I know you're not going to like me talking to you, and I know this is ridiculous, but I'm here to offer you. I'm the lady who beat up that guy next to you, sloppily tried to get sloppy sex from you, and now I need a favor from you." And of course, she's dropping the F-bomb on her about exactly what her opinion is of that.
And this once again makes me question the bodyguard that's in the plane is telling them, "Go in the room and get her," and they're like, "We can't. She'll kill us." And they're like, "No, I'll kill you." It really makes me wonder if she even believes what happens in that room.
Yeah.
That she's willing to compromise it. Yeah.
Right.
Who's that? The Killian woman or whatever?
Well, the blonde-haired woman, the second in command. Her threats. It doesn't matter what's going on. You need to go in there and get her out. And they're like, "Oh no, we can't do that because it's getting all kinds of crazy in there." So
so it's just making me wonder if she's even believing in it, or if she just believes in the main character here that whatever she says will go, but I don't really believe in her mumbo jumbo. So.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. In some ways, this is typical. Gail Simone writing, and there's all this kind of dangling stuff happening.
Yeah.
For some reason, it feels better and is juggled better in this than it is in some of the other books that she's currently writing that seem to kind of tell the story in a non-secular kind of, non-linear kind of a way. So, I'm enjoying it because I enjoy the art. It's weird enough. It's the right kind of weird. I know some of the stuff happens in here just to shock us, but it's not dumb in the way it's being delivered. I know it's for shock when the guy turns his face upside down in it and whatnot. I mean, clearly that's there for us all to go ooh about, but I don't know. It seems for me it's working right now.
Yeah, that was definitely like a little nod to the not really a nod, but that was the Joker and Damien. I was like, oh, that is awesome.
Well, where did he stick his tongue out of the eyeball?
Yeah.
Because I was just like, okay, well, he flipped it upside down and he's got some kind of crazy opening. Well, I mean, okay, all right.
Well, it even made me think of Colder. Isn't that the other one where the guy puts his fingers through?
Right. Through
his eye socket.
His face, his eye socket and stuff, like I said, I'm still really enjoying it. I like the characters. I like all the characters that are in it. I mean, even the gruff ones and whatnot. The three brothers. I like the three brothers. They're all entertaining. So if I'm buying into the characters, it makes me want to continue to read the book. That's the important part for me.
Okay, so just make sure I'm tracking. So we got the lady who was in the airplane with the blonde. She is.
Okay,
He's
so
the
there's
assistant.
so there's
He's
the blonde.
assistant. Okay, right.
The blonde is like the right hand man of Astrid.
Right.
And she's the one that was hitting on our reporter woman and whatnot. She has a right hand man, and the right hand man, is this lady, and she's clearly some kind of really nasty assassin. I mean, it's like because because she basically uses a threat. She's like, you realize I'm on a plane flying to you, and you know who's with me, and that person's gonna do bad things to you if you don't get in that room. So.
And then the one in the room is the one who's actually the person in charge.
Yeah,
right?
that's her.
Okay.
And it's the younger one in the beginning of the comic, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so
the bear or whatever.
Yeah.
the blonde that gets naked at the doctor's house, is that the Killian woman? Is that the one
No.
that's the second in command? No?
No, I don't think so. Not unless she's
'cause
changed
she
a
said
lot.
That she was made. Well, she said that she was rooked.
Right.
And
then they use that. Right.
I think there were several. Like the first meeting that Astrid had with the reporter, there were like the 4 rooks, and she even said that there's 4 rooks on her chessboard, so that she's got these 4 people that are rooks. She says she doesn't play fair. So.
Yeah, and then of course our right hand man, woman. She keeps on our man, but you're right.
Yeah.
The blonde, which I've drawn, like I don't know what her name is. She informs the woman that's on the plane with her that she's her rook. Which that's a big deal. It seems to be a big deal because when people throw that out there, people are like, oh really? I'm that? Oh wow, so. And for anybody who's watching who doesn't read this book, you're probably thinking, what the hell are they talking about? I like it. I dig it. I love the covers. The Jenny Friesen covers are great.
We didn't even get to the tub with the knives. That was kind of just interesting. So.
Yeah,
I really liked it because I was starting to wane kind of on reading Gail Simone books. Like I really wasn't. The last couple that I read, I really hadn't been feeling them, and this one, it's her. It's her type of style and everything. So.
Yep. What else? What else do we want to talk about?
Do you want to go ahead and talk Little Wolf?
Sure. Let's talk Wolf. So this is issue number 5. This is 5 years later. Same writer, different artist on the book. What do we think?
I like the new art.
Mm-hmm. Especially like facial expressions, and get a little better look, I think.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the facial expressions is more expressive than the last artist, I feel, and I feel like it's easier to tell the characters apart also. I feel like that was a problem with the last artist. And also I feel like the general aesthetic of the book fits the tone of the story and everything a lot better. I enjoyed it.
I definitely felt a tone shift too. I mean, that was the thing that I thought was interesting. Is everything was this investigation before. Now it's are we going to save Wolf? Are we, figuring out who we are as people? So it was definitely a change that I didn't expect to see in this book.
Yeah, less mystery, right? I mean, as a whole, it was less mystery, less let's connect all the dots, and more. This is kind of more where we are 5 years from now. Kind of a thing. I'm not sold on the art like you guys are. I mean, wonderful colors. There are moments in here where some of the faces, I just feel like the artist went, I can just kind of scribble whatever I want to. I don't care. And so
maybe,
yes,
that one was kind of.
I mean, I'm happy that the cow's all messed up because I mean she's basically effing the cow up if that's what she's doing. But I don't know that. But I will agree. Clearly, everybody is identifiable as their own individuals. There's none of that. They bring back our favorite characters. I thought that Freddy was dead, so it was kind of a surprise to see Freddy back in the book. So I love Freddy. As a whole, I like the other artists better.
Oh, Freddy got fresh too. Freddy got a little fresh in there.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's pretty fun. The part about that I think is funny is it's like he's in bed with the Scottish vampire. Yeah. And he's like, she's like, and of course she's making the whole joke, is that a tentacle down there? Are you happy to see me? All sort of the thing. And he's like, well, I did kind of want to do some kinky stuff. And what does she say? Oh, what, you want to play like a normal person? I don't do that. I just thought it was funny, the idea of this guy with all the tentacles and whatnot, which, of course, if you're even remotely perverted, you can think of all kinds of fun things. That of course, he'd want to play just a normal guy. I don't know, I just thought it was funny. I love the whole ranting and raving of the very beginning. as the Scottish vampire is scolding our main character for running around, being a werewolf, and eating a cow and all this stuff. Because I love reading the whole Scottish. I love it.
You definitely got to slow down and read that, though.
Yeah.
Because of course she's Scottish, so she has a Scottish accent, and of course she's a vampire, so she has fangs, so she has that stereotypical I can't pronounce my R's, and I don't know. It's to me it's just funny. Yes, it is hard to read, but to me it's just funnier than hell. So. Clearly our main character, Wolf, is imprisoned to someplace. They're calling him a blood bag, so they're doing something to him as far as that goes. We get more flashback of his time in Iraq, and the ghosts that are, and the ghosts that are haunting him around there. So that part is pretty cool too. So as a whole, I'm still keen to read the book. I still dig it. Yeah.
And so did it look like his sergeant or lieutenant was the one that was in the jail? Because he was talking with her in Iraq, and then it looked like she's back in this jail who's torturing him.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, or if he's just hallucinating, or she's a ghost. Her coming back all jacked up at the end of it. This is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
She's in the stairwell. She comes back and she's clearly all mangled and burnt. I don't know how much of that is the ghosts that are haunting him, because he's always had this, the first 4 issues, he kind of had this charade of people from his past kind of along with him.
I thought that was the Iraqi he saw in the bazaar or whatever.
Right. That at one point she's dead and.
It's. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're correct. I wonder this part. It was at the bottom.
That one.
I think that was his sergeant, because it was like right after he talked with her, and then because he was asking.
Branko is.
Branko,
right.
Sorry,
at the top, he's having a conversation with her, and is that the same person? I don't know. That's just that I don't know how much of this is him under whatever duress he's under, that he's just seeing people as whoever, or if that really is the same person, because I don't know, she doesn't look a whole lot older.
All right. And after,
but with a new artist, I don't know what to trust as far as.
Yeah. Page 1, I didn't understand that Bloodbag was Wolf either. It took me until I think about halfway to figure that out.
All the blood transfusions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that is the same person, Mike, or Sergeant. Yeah. Yeah. He kind of flashes back and forth. He's talking about Bronco. Yeah.
I guess because of the whole fact it's a new artist and I'm not 100% familiar with that artist, I don't know what the trust there as far as that goes for my eyes and whatnot. But
I was wondering, the Iraqi woman, do you think that's who gives him his power, or? Because
we remember in one of the first 4 issues they talk about the fact that his lover curses him with this living forever, but she implies that she's dead in this. I don't know if he's dreaming that whole sex scene or if that actually happened. And he comments on the fact that she feels cold and she says like, that's because I'm dead. I don't know. I don't, like I said, because he's in this kind of state where, I know he's immortal, but clearly if they're pumping blood out of you all the time, I don't know how in your right mind you are, kind of thing. So what's real and what's not? I don't know that we have I don't feel like I have a ground to say this is the grounded reality and this is not yet.
Yeah. But, which is what makes it good,
Yeah. Be curious to see exactly what. They kind of imply here that maybe she's not the coming of the apocalypse, that was all kind of bullshit. Kind of just hype. Yeah. But clearly she's still a werewolf and quite a mess. Her writing her diary is kind of funny too. So I appreciate that part of it. But cool. What else? What else do people got?
Anybody read The Evolution?
Yes, another comic book with nakedness in it.
It just popped up out of nowhere,
It's popping for sure. Wow.
That's the Jay Lee one, right?
Yeah. Well, he does the covers.
He just does the covers?
Yeah, he just does the covers. I wish he did the interiors because that would be awesome. So, basic premise of the book is clearly, man is on the path that we're on right now, where it seems like we're consuming everything, we're polluting everything. We get into all kinds of wars. That kind of rages on. We start blowing ourselves up with bombs and whatnot. The smart people are hidden away, and they decide that clearly religion is the reason that we're killing ourselves and stuff and whatnot, because one religion can't get along with another religion. So the brainy scientists figure out a way. They think that they can shut down or de-evolve the part of our brain that believes in gods and religion and all that sort of stuff. They clearly don't test it well enough. They put it in a big bomb, a big gassy bomb. They fly around and they drop these bombs everywhere. And not only does it de-evolve people's ideas about religion, people de-evolve, and it crosses species. Animals de-evolve. Cats, dogs, giraffes, everything. People become more Neanderthal-like, and everybody de-evolves at different weird degrees of. So some people are full-on Neanderthals. Some people are kind of close to human. Our main character seems to have kept all of her humanity, and she knows of a place where there's a second bomb that, if it's released, will re-evolve everybody. And currently, she is in Las Vegas. Trying to get a map to figure out where the heck she's at and move on. And she's come upon an encampment. That sound about right, Tom?
Yeah, all except for the part at the end when they're in space, and I didn't really understand why they were in space.
I'm assuming we have a space station, right? So I'm assuming some people are still up in space when the bomb hit. And if you were up in space and all the people down below are turned into I wouldn't go back to Earth.
You're going to stay there.
Yeah.
It's like Why the Last Man.
Right. So I think what happens is that clearly somehow it gets up there anyway. They get exposed. That's why that one woman, she's going through the thing and it says that she's contaminated and she starts flying away because she's kind of in her spacesuit flying away and she's de-evolving right in front of them, basically.
Oh.
Is my guess. The art in it is, I think it's, see if I can find a safe page to flip through here. The art is by Jonathan Wasak. Colors by Jordan Bond.
Jordan Boyd.
It looks very kind of heavy metal-ish, like the old heavy metal comic. Yeah. I know that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people when I say that, since that's clearly a 70s and 80s kind of a thing. But it's for it being kind of an apocalyptic kind of thing. The art for me works really cool. I mean, here she is. She's hiding like a gas station, what's left of a gas station, because she found a map, clearly an old gas station. These are the Neanderthals that are coming to get her, and they're just crazy-looking guys. And she, peels one of their heads back with a shotgun blast to the face. It's very visceral, and I dig it for that. Let's see if I can
surprised me when they shot the horse. I was like, what did that horse do to anybody?
It's food. It's food, here's some of the quasi-humans that are supposedly the nice guys, but they're not really nice guys either. They're just as big creeps. They're a little more organized. She's come there. She found one of their men lost out in the wilderness. She's returned him. Well, the guy was lost because he was out getting some nookie outside of the base and got jumped by Neanderthals. And she's there. They decide to shoot her horse, to shoot her horse and stuff. But they're keeping her around. But they're keeping her around because, hey, she looks like good breeding material because she's a full human. You don't see many full humans, so of course she's got that to deal with. Great. There's all these giant, hulking, extra muscled, slimy guys that want to have their way with me, and she's got to figure out how to get out of that because she needs to get to San Francisco. She's in L.A. Not L.A. I mean, she's in Las Vegas. She needs to get to San Francisco because that's where supposedly there's this thing to release it at. But, to some degree, it's clearly Rick Remender. It's the kind of stuff he's writing in a lot of his other independent stuff, even though this is put out by Dynamite. It's cool. It's 6 issues.
I kind of felt like it had a little bit different tone though than a lot of the Remender stuff that I've read. Like it seemed a whole lot different than, like, I don't know, the image type things that he's done or whatever, that seemed to more clearly have his world building in this seemed to be really broad, where normally whenever I read his books, like, in the first couple of issues of a book, he really hits that world, and it just kind of seemed real large, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think this is simpler. I think to some degree for me, I think this is simpler just because it's 6 issues, I believe, is all it's going to be. So you don't got room to spend an entire arc kind of, heavily hitting us with a lot of some of that stuff. I don't know. For me, it has the same Rick Remender stuff in it that it has this. It seems like a lot of these books that are coming out by Image start out with this kind of pessimistic view. The world is shit. Deadly Class, the world, people are shit, everything's shit. Low, everything goes to shit before they can start dragging themselves out of it. Black Science, everything is shit, and that's what they're trying to fix it with the science and whatnot. What's some of the others? Tokyo Pop, right? It is, LA is absolute shit. I don't know. It just seems like they're all kind of this pessimistic view of where the world's ticking to. And some of those have a positive, this is how we can drag ourselves out of it. This one doesn't seem to have so much of that.
Yeah.
This one feels
really
very
like
cinematic also.
I really like the art in this. It reminded me a lot, and I wonder whether or not he's done a whole lot of work with, say, like Ben Templesmith, because I know that he did the covers on that Squitter series that Templesmith did.
Right.
So I'm curious. I mean, it had kind of that art style to me, kind of washed out, kind of that look.
Yeah, and because of the de-evolution, the proportions aren't true. People have big hulking chests, maybe short arms, short legs, or really long gangly arms, versus a small, torso, that kind of thing. Yeah.
By cinematic, did you mean like written for a movie concept, or just that it had more of a bigger feel to it?
I could see it being that. I could see it being picked up for that sort of a thing and whatnot. It feels, it already, I guess for me, it already feels short in some sense. I mean, I can have a sense of where the beginning and end could be. Not that it's going to necessarily end that way, but it just, this first issue, you kind of get this, the world went to heck, and here you got this heroine, here's clearly this giant, the world is an adversary for her, kind of a thing. She's on the grand cause to go find this object that she can release that's gonna, fix everything again, kind of stuff. It to me, it just has that kind of a pretty easy action movie kind of a vibe to it.
All right.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Cool. Anything else?
Lucifer?
Huh? Lucifer issue number 2.
It was good. I like how what's his name?
Gabriel?
Yeah, Gabriel got skinned and burned and came out of nowhere, but I was like, okay.
Yeah, so they decide that this metal that's in Lucifer's wound is the same stuff that was around where the presence, their equivalent of God, was supposedly killed at also. So they figure they need to go and figure out where that's from. Their best guess is it probably came somewhere from hell. So they're going to go back to hell and ask some questions. Well, Lucifer gave up hell, and nobody's going to be too excited to have him back, you would think, because clearly he controlled hell for a very, very long time. So suddenly have him walk back in is kind of a threat to the people who are kind of running hell at the moment. So him and Gabriel decide they're going to go back to hell so they can figure out where this metal came from, maybe get some clues as to what happened to Lucifer and ultimately what happened to the presence. Because that's what Gabriel's been set in charge of, to try and earn his way back to having wings, to earn his way back into the grace. They'll do that for him if he figures out what happened to the presence. So they wander down into hell, and clearly it's not a good time. There's 2 of them, and there's an army of hell that pretty much, I mean, they act like they're excited that he's back, some of them, but no, they don't really want him back. Kind of a thing.
It looked like they had a nice little meal. And...
Sure. They're eating people, and yeah. And while they're in hell, they snatch up Gabriel and torture the heck out of him, trying to find out why Lucifer's there, because they want to know why Lucifer's really there. And they don't know. I mean, they peel his skin off, they light him on fire, do all kinds of horrible stuff to him. They do run into the person that's reigning in hell, To some degree, that kind of harken. It's kind of like you can read this, and I think you can enjoy it for what for what it is, the story that's there. You don't have to know the original Lucifer storyline. If you know that, there's little Easter eggs and little winks and nods in here that the writer does put into the prior stuff that's going on. But I'm really enjoying it. I kind of like this kind of quasi-detective. They're really, that's what they're doing. They're being gumshoes, walking down leads wherever it takes them. The next issue, they're going to the land of the dreams, which is going to be all kinds of ugly because him and Morpheus kind of came to blows back and forth back in the day in the Sandman books. So it'll be interesting seeing him go into the land of dreams. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to them kind of venturing into that and seeing what happens. That'll be kind of cool and exciting too. I'm really liking it. It's kind of a simply kind of a detective story, but it's based around all this all this other stuff, all this old Vertigo stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like that part with Gabriel. I just thought it really was just, I don't know. I'm not gonna say was it pointless, but it was just why did that happen?
Why did they kind of pull him off the side and beat him up and torture him? Because they're evil.
Okay, that was it. Okay.
I think it was two things. One, to establish just how bad hell can be. Another, that Gabriel isn't going to spill the beans regardless of what they're doing to him. I mean, they literally skin him, stick a hook through him, and dip him in lava and leave him there, and he has to crawl himself out. I think it's it's to start to help show us the character that Gabriel is. That he did something wrong in somebody's eyes, and that's why he doesn't have wings anymore and whatnot. But he's a pretty honorable guy. I mean, he's not going to sell Lucifer out, even though it is Lucifer. He's working with Lucifer currently, so he's not going to screw the guy over. I think is what some of that is. And I think just to kind of help continue to establish, besides just saying, ooh, they're in hell and they're bad people, to establish just how nasty some of these people are. Okay. But I can see where you look at it and go, that's all kind of fluffy, pointless, kind of whatever.
It was cool to look at.
I think it's largely to help show just how Machiavellian and how backstabbing hell is. Because I mean, they're treating them to dinner, and while they're treating him to dinner, they kind of walk him off to one side. Oh, sure, we can help you out, and then immediately skin him and throw him in a pit. Kind of a thing. So yeah. Well. Anybody got anything else they want to talk
about? Dragon Age Mage Killer.
Ron, is this issue 2?
This is issue 2 of 5. Just fits in my D&D fix that I've always enjoyed these kind of comic books. And this is just a couple of fighters who are hired by one mage group to go kill another one. So it's just been interesting to see all the little D&D kind of things, the little fights, a little magic, a little sword play. So it's just an excellent one. It's a Greg Rucka book, so I've always just trusted on a short series that I was going to get a good story out of it.
Oh, Ryan was just pointing out that that if these guys are in the Lucifer book, to kind of backtrack a little bit, so I'm trying to watch the comments, that when they go to the land of the dreaming, Morpheus is dead, or at least the Morpheus that we all knew in the... Hopefully that's not a spoiler for people. It occurs to me. At any rate, the Sandman, the incarnation of him that was around at the time when Lucifer was and them were in conflict with each other, isn't around anymore. So this might be our first full-on exposure to what the new one is like. Except that's not 100% true, because that aspect was around. I mean, in some sense. So, but this gives us a chance for a different writer to write it besides Neil Gaiman, because that's the only person that's ever addressed it. So, sorry, didn't mean to backtrack there a little bit. So, quickly talk Pencilhead. Ted McKeever's Pencilhead. It's about oddball artists, twisted writers, demented editors, office politics, hamburgers, and a dead stripper. Needless to say, this is another one of the issues that has naked people in it. I'm just a big fan of Ted McKeever. He really is an artist in the fact that he kind of just does what he wants to do. Whether that makes sense to anybody else or whatever, it doesn't rightly really matter. This is supposedly a mostly true 5-issue series about the whacked out world of comic books. Less Airboy, whereas Airboy had this kind of real serious heaviness to it, so this does not have that. It's kind of a Ted McKeever type character who's called Poodlewhack, is his name. Him turning in some pages to one of the big two-ish kind of companies. They write him, giving him a hard time. It sucks. He's going to go and write a totally new thing for one of his buddies and stuff. Yeah, I mean, as well as books, I could not recommend to hardly anybody, I don't think. It just kind of has to be, you have to kind of like Ted McKeever to really get into this. Whereas all the weird stuff that was in the Superannuated Man, it has some of those same elements in here. There's just kind of things about this that are kind of inside jokes in a sense. But if you're a Ted McKeever reader, it's not. There's one scene where he's riding on a subway, and he's complaining about how people are complaining about how his artwork, how he never draws anybody normal, everybody's ugly and whatnot. And he's like, I see 3 people on this train right now that I'm going to put in a comic book, and they're pretty normal looking people. And of course, the drawings of them, they're just totally, I mean, they've got weird shaped heads, their bodies are all goop. I'll see if I can find them. They're not, I mean, it's his own gag. He's kind of basically making fun of himself over the whole, yeah, he's riding on the train, and these are the supposedly normal people that look normal. I mean, look at this guy. He's got a giant head, little arms and feet, and he's like, oh, okay, make it a 4th guy. As this guy comes walking in, he's like, yeah, I'm from Mars, and I'm stuck here on planet Earth, and I need you all to give me $1 so I can go back to Mars and save my wife and my kids because they don't have anything to eat. And the guy pulls out a half-broken clarinet and starts playing it. I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just nuts kind of stuff. But it's very Ted McKeever. There's some kind of monster that's chasing him down. That's kind of like haunting him as he's trying to do his work. It's like some sort of comic monster that's going to be a monkey on his back, I think. The dead stripper in this happens is one of the editors that he has to talk to always wants to meet him in this strip joint that serves burgers, supposedly because the guy likes the burgers. So they're sitting there as these strippers are doing their thing and eating this burger, and Ted gets upset, or Poodlewhack, I guess I shouldn't call him Ted. Poodlewhack gets upset, throws his arms around and knocks the burger out of the guy's hand, and a little piece of the food, a chunk of the burger, flies into one of the stripper's mouths as she's doing a headstand, and she chokes on it and chokes to death. And so the cops think that she's been murdered as opposed to being an accident, because these 2 guys, when she chokes out and dies, they run, because they don't want to be caught in the strip joint having been responsible for this woman's death. So they go running off. To craziness and stuff, and I don't know. I'll get it because, like I said, I'm a fan, but it's nutty.
I can't wait to read it, man. My comic book shop got shorted on it, so I didn't actually get a copy of it.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of people got shorted on it. I saw some other videos of people that said that they hadn't gotten the kind of a thing. But Ryan C's comment on the fact that there's lots of references to like Epic Comics and some of the other stuff that's in here. So he is kind of poking fun and loosely attached to the real world that he works in, but really not so much so either. I mean, I don't know. I hope there's not a comic book editor that makes him go to a strip joint to have business conversations. So, and his version of strippers are, needless to say, Tom, they look nothing like the naked people that are in De-Evolution, for instance. These naked people are are a little more out there, yeah. So, yeah, anyway. Anybody else got any other books that I want?
Talk about Blood Feud for a second.
Okay, cool.
From Oni. This is Colin Bunn book, and it's basically like Hatfields and McCoy's vampire story type thing going on. Ooh. That you've got these 2 families that have been feuding forever and ever and ever, that one of them kind of like controls witchcraft, and the other one are a bunch of vampires. And so one of the vampire family ends up getting hurt and can't control himself turning into a vampire, so goes out and he bites somebody, then that person goes and bites somebody. Next thing you know, you've got all of these like tarantulas, because the place that they are is like the biggest migration point for tarantulas. So these tarantulas are just everywhere wreaking havoc, and the vampires are killing everybody, and like these three characters are just trying to, get through and make it through the night and survive. It's really, really been good. It's the same team that did Terrible Lizard with Drew Moss on art.
Oh,
and
okay.
I mean, the art and everything on it is just fantastic, man. Really, really bright, vibrant colors, and yeah.
So, what era is the book set in?
When
Like
is it
modern?
set?
Is it like modern time?
It's set now, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
More or less current, But yeah, it's hilarious. I love. You can't really see that, but like they're sitting there and they're like trying to find a place to hide, and they think that the town's empty, and so they're like, oh man, maybe we will survive this night. And they turn around and like the entire street is like 70 vampires that are, all lining the street. It's just, I don't know.
Wow, sounds cool.
Yeah. Next morning, sun comes up. They go around and start trying to hunt vampires down inside houses and kill the vampires, because they know when it gets dark again that they're going to come back out, and so they've got a limited amount of time. And even though it's a small town, they're like, there's no way we're going to, but we've got to contain it here, because if it gets out of Spider Creek, then
Sounds very
it's really
Salem
good.
Lot-ish.
Sounds very what?
It's more like a Silver
Salem's
Bullet.
Lot. So like so.
It's like a lot like Silver Bullet, really, in a way. Right down to he's got this gun that he calls like the right hand of God that he uses to go out and kill these guys.
Yeah. Comic Book Girl says it sounds neat, but you lost me at tarantulas. That's kind of where I am too. I'm not a big spider fan.
Oh yeah. If you don't like spiders, this is not the book for you.
Yeah. Tons of tarantulas. The definition is saying tons of tarantulas. It's amazing. Ooh.
Oh yeah,
no,
yeah.
thank
The whole point of the claim
I
to
don't like
fame of the
bugs.
town is that like once a year there's this migration of tarantulas, and one of the main characters is a like expert that's come there from like college to study it and stuff. I mean,
And what publisher did this?
Oni Press.
Who?
Oni Press.
Oni Press.
Oh, okay.
I like Oni Press. Oni Press is pretty solid. They produce a lot of solid stuff.
But I mean, it's only I think going to be
but
it's only going to be 6 issues, I think. So I mean, it'd be one trade. So.
So I had a request for me to talk about Nowhere Man #7, which is like 2 years in the making. I think just for a little bit of background, Nate Blarty, I think his name is. I can't remember now. The original artist on the book had some pretty significant mental health issues, and it was just a real struggle for him to get back. Could never quite get back to it to really get on the book. So they ended up with a new artist, Dave Taylor, on the book, and so the art is a little bit different. He kind of keeps things somewhat traditionally the same, but it's not exactly, not exactly the same. I really enjoyed the book. I love Nowhere Man. Huge fan of the first 6 issues of Nowhere Man. I mean, I own shirts of it. I just love the whole concept of rock and roll. I mean, science is the new rock and roll. I just love that. I'm a big science fan. So, it's kind of loosely based around these 4 guys who are basically the equivalent of the Beatles, except having to do with science. And in this world, they're treated like that. They are literally rock stars. I mean, they're on the cover of every magazine all the time. They're every variety show. They're somewhere on it. When you see pictures of the red carpet for any event, one of them is there. That whole kind of a aspect and whatnot. The story picks up right where it left off at when issue 6 ended. It takes a little bit to kind of get up to speed on some of the characters because they don't look exactly the same. So I was unsure of who was who initially in it. Um, and some of the intrigue of it is gone for me a little bit, only because it's been so long since I've read the last issues. I mean, I remember what's going on, but I'm not quite as wound into it as I was when those first 6 issues came out. But still really enjoying it. I love everything about this book. It is 100% comic book. It's kind of like, because it's written by the same guy who does They're Not Like Us, so they utilize the entire comic. I mean, the back page, this bottom part of it has all the, who did it, all the official, these characters aren't like anybody, blah, blah, blah. If they are, it's coincidental. So the entire comic is a comic. I mean, you open up the front page. The front page is an ad for one of the one of these scientists' book. You get this great opening sequence of this issue that is like it's drawn by the it's drawn by Emmy Lennox. She draws Plutona, for those people who are picking up that Jeff Lemire book, Plutona. So the opening sequence here is like a written diary, like a drawn diary of one of our main scientist's daughters, talking about how she's actually really smart. She gets really frustrated that everybody just thinks that she's never seen as herself at her own achievements. She's just her dad, her super brainy dad's daughter. Even though technically she actually works out most of his problems now. It's not him that's figuring it out. It's actually her, and he gets credit for it. But no, I'm slowly enjoying it. It's starting to touch more on the whole aspect of the crazy stuff that's going on. These people that have been infected with this virus that's made them all into different levels of either monsters or have superpowers. Some of them have super speed, some of them have telepathy, some of them are big, giant red and blue monsters. One woman in this is a giant blob. I mean, she's like a liquid black, and they've got her in basically a giant test tube, and they're trying to figure out how to talk to her and whatnot. So I think the artist is going to work. It's not. I still think the original artist, I think, was perfect. The colorers by Jody Belair keep the whole thing together. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad it's back. I figure by next issue I'll be amped and super excited about it again, and people won't get me to shut up about it, because I just love it. It's like I said, in amongst it, instead of having ads for comic books, it's fake ads for records and stuff like that these original 4 guys put out. And it's just, I don't know, it's very clean and very simple and cool. I'm digging it. So Christina, I'm still loving it. She is too. She's enjoyed it too. So, any others? No. I'm going to talk about one more. Let's see. I'm not talking about this just because it's new. Because I want to be one of those creepy people who doesn't talk about comics that are really old. I just want to talk about the new comics. At any rate, so this is another comic from Aftershocks Comics. This is American Monster. Brian Arizio doing the writing, and Juan Doe doing the art in it. Clearly, first issue. What I can ascertain from it is there are some, mobster, gangster type guys. They get screwed over. They get screwed over by like an accountant kind of guy. They end up breaking into his house and they execute him and his wife in a very brutal fashion and whatnot in this. I'm not sure exactly how those guys are going to work going forward in the comic. Another group that we have these young, like, just out of high school or still in high school. This is another book with naked girls in it. In this case, it's this she's getting money for flashing this guy. There's this old guy, and they're on a teeter-totter, and he will pop her up into the air, and she'll pop her shirt up, and he will hand over money to another friend, and this is how he's getting his rocks off, and she's making some money, and she doesn't care. There's even some questions about, she's somebody. Some other girls come up to her and they say, "Oh, gross. Why are you doing this?" And they're like, well, whatever. I don't think it's degrading. I don't have a problem with it. And the guy that's clearly paying for this is like, we can do that. And she goes, well, is there more money in it? And he's like, yeah, so there's starting to getting ready to be this uncomfortable conversation of what else might she do besides continue to flash him for this money. And it gets interrupted because coming into town is this guy who I believe is a Iraq war veteran. He has suffered massive burns. He's basically a giant walking pile of scars. Let's see if I can find a picture of him. Here he is, dressed up, but he's all, so he's pretty monstrous looking, and of course he freaks everybody out. He's in this diner. He's rolled into town. He's in this diner. He's trying to buy himself a beer. Other people are trying to buy him a beer because, of course, he's a veteran, and you honor your veterans. And he's like, screw that, man. Look what kind of damage I took while I was in Iraq. I think I deserve more than a beer. It should at least be a blowjob. And the guy that's trying to buy him the beer is freaking out, and he goes, "And clearly you're not going to do that." So, he gets in this argument with a whole bunch of them over who's going to buy the beer or not buy the beer. He finally goes, "Screw it, I'm buying the beer for everybody," and he slams this wad of money down. It's hundreds, and the bank wrapping's still around it. Like it's straight from the bank with the band on it still. There's explosions across the street at the bank. So you get the impression that he's robbed the bank, and he's got all the money in the world. And that's kind of where it's left at with this, who knows what all is going on. The kids, the girl that was riding the teeter-totter that was getting the money for flashing, because like I said, she's about ready to strike this crazy deal of some other thing that she could get money for. When she gets a call from one of her friends saying, "Look, I don't know what you're doing. You need, that website you always sent me to and all those really kind of gross, freaky people you think are so cool. I found somebody that makes that look tame. He's at the diner." So all the kids are, getting on their bikes and rushing off to the diner so they can go check out this, this monster kind of thing. So I don't know exactly where the book's going to go. I really kind of liked it. I liked the art. Unfortunately, it's really hard for me to show you the art because they hop around on timelines, and so many of the timelines pop us back to the teeter-totter scene, which I don't want to show on YouTube, not because I'm afraid of, of showing it, but that YouTube might shut me down or somebody's going to flag my video, which we don't want that, right? But there she is. They're staring in the window at this guy, and there's the wad of money. But and he's pretty pleased with himself that he's robbed this place and whatnot. And there's these gangsters, and the gangsters are trying to figure out what else is going on. But yeah, it was cool. I'm kind of liking the Aftershock books and stuff. I trust Orizio to tell me an interesting story, so I'll be around for at least a few issues to get into the meat of it to see exactly what that's going to be.
Do you know who's responsible for Aftershock? Who does it started that up? Because it's amazing to me the caliber of people they've got.
Mike Martz is the head editor and stuff on it. Mike Martz used to be the Batman line editor for DC Comics. When DC moved, of course, he quit working for them because he didn't want to move to Burbank with them. Briefly worked with Marvel for a while, and then another guy who had money. I can't remember his name. The two of them kind of launched the thing together. That's why Mike Martz knows a lot of people. Mike Martz was the DC's Batman editor for what, like 15 years or more. He was the editor for forever. So he's got lots of connections. He's got lots of connections, and so when he puts out a thing saying, hey, I want to produce comic books. That's why he's getting these big name people to show up to do books. I think because they like him and trust him. And they're probably getting some sort of a good deal out of it, I would guess, as far as the creator-owned, end of the spectrum. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited to have more, more. I don't think there's anything wrong with having another comic book company out there, that's pushing the same sort of stuff that the Image is. We might, see something different.
I'm really enjoying Sub-Zero from them. Has really been good.
Right. So yeah. So I think that's cool. I'm excited to see what else comes from them. So like I said, I'll give that a few. Brian Orizio does good with the kind of crime noir-esque sort of thing. So yeah. I have a whole bunch more, but I won't talk about them. I'll talk about them someplace else. Anything else? Any independent stuff we want to talk about news-wise that outside of the actual books themselves?
Nosferatu got optioned by AMC for a series.
What got opted?
Nosferatu. That Joe Hill, he wrote a book and then he did a Wraith comic a while back that was a prequel to that book that got option to be in their lineup with Preacher and all that stuff, Walking Dead and all that stuff on Sunday night.
Oh. Oh. Okay. Cool. What were you gonna say, Emily?
Oh no, I didn't see anything when I was kind of browsing through sites and stuff. So.
Yeah, the other thing I'll bring up once again, not that I'm pimping the show or anything like that, but this is the week that this weekend I believe is the Lucifer adaptation that's on Fox. It's after the X-Files for those people who care. I mean, to me it sounds like from everything I read of kind of the original idea of the plot, it's more along the lines of a police procedural, which of course kind of matches up with the story in a sense that me and Luke are reading right now, except they're not police, but they are doing kind of detective type stuff. This one, he's actually teaming up with a female detective there in LA to do stuff and whatnot, which is nothing like the original Lucifer book. It's not. So, it is what it is.
I'm sure taking independent comics and making them into detective stories. It seems like.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Like I think or whatever. That wasn't. Right. That wasn't really a.
Well, it was. I mean, yes, you're right. iZombie, they made it into more of a police procedural because she, how it is now. But I mean, even in the comic book, if my recollection's right, she would eat people's brains and then try to figure out who killed them. I mean, that's mostly what she did, right? She would eat the dead's brain, so it was kind of like, it was our TV show that Brian Filler did. I can't remember right now, but they had to do with that kind of a thing too. We touch people, bring them back to life, and figure out who killed them. At any rate, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think a police procedural is a safe TV show, right? That seems to be, lawyer shows, doctor shows, and cop shows seem to be safe shows. So you just doctor it under different window dressing. I mean, to me, to some degree, I think it's unfortunate, but I think it's one of those kind of things. If you were to do an actual Lucifer show, I don't know how well it would go over. So, at any rate, so let's go on to DC then. If we don't have any other news about that, what do I talk DC wise? We're gonna talk Batman.
No.
Mr. Bloom.
What do we think? Issue 48.
This was good. I really enjoyed it, and not only because of the Bruce and Joker thing. I really enjoyed the Mr. Bloom thing. I think this is something that people have been wanting for a long time with Mr. Bloom.
Mm-hmm. Finally.
Right.
Finally. Finally, to me, it feels like full on. We're getting the whole meat of it. It's it feels to me like it's coming to light. He's becoming the real threat, and and all of that. So I really enjoyed it. He looks frightening. Because he's all twisted up and freaky. So. Yeah, I mean that's to me. I love all that stuff because of that. It makes him feel threatening. It makes him feel scary. I enjoy this issue too. I mean, I'm hard on Batman right now a lot. I like this issue. I even like the stuff, with the Joker. He kind of flirting with the reality of it, but not at the same time. Not 100% sure exactly what I think of the Joker at this point.
But do you think Butcher is a good job for him?
Yeah, it's nice and healthy.
I think it was that's a perfect job for the Joker. Yeah.
Right. What do you think, Mike?
I'm starting to think that Jim Gordon's not going to be Batman for much longer. I was waiting on a 30-issue run, Jim really coming into it, Maybe even push Bruce out of the way one issue, and show him that he is Batman. So.
What's Bloom? What is Bloom's power? What does Bloom do?
Kind of remember like Dr. Death did.
Okay.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah, no. I mean, he can twist his body into kind of whatever and get really big and twisted and destructive and stuff. He also creates these seeds that kind of dish out other powers.
It also seems, I mean, don't
weird.
They all take over the host? That almost is what it feel like too. That he gets more influence, maybe is the best word for it, on some of these other people.
Well, I guess
that's what I was
see.
wondering, if he had some kind of mind control.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll see as we're going forward, as more people are becoming possessed, because he's got 1,000 seeds scattered across Gotham that everybody's fighting for and whatnot. I mean, I will agree with some of the critics about the fact that this kind of, it's the same story that Scott Snyder's telling over and over again, in a sense that you have this epic thing that's completely wrecking all of Gotham again, kind of a deal, as everybody all over Gotham is scrambling to get these seeds and they're beating the hell out of each other. Something awful like the whole Joker thing. Sounds a whole lot like. So I mean, that to me that is unfortunate. I mean, I think that's a fair criticism. When does Batman just to kind of get to be kind of the cool detective, not dealing with the thing that's going to take over all of Gotham, but just some other sort of level of crime, kind of a thing. Like I said, I enjoyed this issue. I mean, I liked it. I liked the some of the aspects of it. I'm still not real happy with the whole how Bruce is coming back into being, Batman necessarily, but I mean, I'm enjoying it. I mean, we're gonna get a break from this story once again. Next issue, we're gonna have something completely different for an issue, right? Because 49 has a fill-in artist for a different story before we get 50 with Capullo back on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be disruptive again, I think, to the, to what, to the story. But
now, did some of the people not have the ability to control the energy of the seeds? Were some of them exploding from the power?
Well, that's what happened to the one kid before.
All right.
And that issue went 44. It was too powerful for him. Now, I don't know if that's what's gonna happen with this girl, the Olivia girl. I didn't catch that, but I thought
I saw Bruce was covered in blood at the end. That's why I thought she exploded, and I thought there was like an explosion outside right as he was getting in. So that's what I was thinking. Some of them couldn't contain the energy from the seeds.
Right.
Or it's clearly not a comfortable transition from being a normal human to being one of these twisted things that they become, in a sense. So.
And obviously, this also serves as a better route for Bruce to kind of remember a little bit more of the whole Batman thing than what Duke Thomas did in that last issue.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
The only thing I kind of threw him up. Yep, Mike. Yeah, you're getting ready. Go ahead.
Well, that was just my question. So, Snyder's done this before, where this alludes to other books, or we're seeing three books ahead, or I mean, that's not pertaining to this story. It pertains to the long story. Is that correct?
I don't know.
I know, but when we started Super Heavy, it was like the first page of it was actually we're talking about molecules and kind of altering, the molecular structure of stuff. And if you read that first page is kind of referencing that, so I don't know if that's just something that it's
one of those things that it's a Scott Snyder thing that sometimes frustrates me. I feel like we get these pages thrown in, and sometimes I worry they forget that they had the page in the story and don't come back to it in the right kind of sense or whatever. There's some random pages throughout the 0 year that I'm to this day I've read it again now, and I still don't understand why some things were put in that were put in. And this might be one of those things, or it might be one of those things that we get this kind of reference, and then, yes, an issue or two from now, this is going to crop back up and explain to us why we're staring into these lights, or that this thing's being too powerful, or whatever, kind of a thing. So,
do we also believe that Duke has seen his parents. That little brief box of food.
Yeah, I just assumed that they're dead or not in a good spot.
Yeah.
See, I was thinking maybe a hospital because I mean, it looked like it was doctors or was nurses behind them. I guess I could see it being like the doors of the morgue that they just walked in, but it just seemed like maybe they're there, but they won't totally be there. So. Do you think this might all feedback for when Bruce does become Batman? Duke will be the new Robin?
I don't think he's going to be the new Robin. I think he's... Because I know they mentioned in that... I know that kind of whole the Future's End thing, you take it for what it is. But, I mean, it's obviously clear he's going to be prominent. I don't know if he's going to be like a quasi form of Robin going forward. I mean, he's obviously going to... As much as I don't like to admit it, he's going to be a little bit more prominent going forward in the Bat family. And what form of faction, I don't know.
And to me, that just seems weird with Damien still being around. That would be a, I mean, Damien's off doing his own thing and whatnot.
Yeah.
But home is still the manor, and Dad is still Dad. I mean, we've gone over that hump. I mean, he's not just the Batman. I mean, he is Dad, and yeah, I don't know.
You can get away with it now because Scott doesn't like to write Damien, so you don't have too many Damien in the Batman. But I know in a topic we're gonna probably touch on a little bit. That's obviously gonna change.
Yeah. So yeah. I like I said, I enjoy this issue. I'm curious to see what comes next. Looking ahead to the next couple issues. I want to get beyond that at this point in the conversation, but I'm looking forward to this issue that's coming out next, because I like the artist. I like Paquette, so I'm going to enjoy that, I'm sure, just for the art that's in it. And curious to see what all the stops get pulled out for issue 50 when it hits. So, because I would assume that in when issue 50 hits, we're going to have Bruce back in the cowl, and because at the end of this one, he's like, get me to the cave. So, we'll be curious though, because clearly he does not have all of his memories.
Right.
He may be a tough guy that's in shape and whatnot, but
that machine's broken. I mean, unless they really screwed that up, Alfred destroyed the thing they created. So
yeah. So like I said, I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to see what that ends up being like and whatnot. So yeah. Cool.
I didn't read the Endgame series when the Joker had fixed his face, when he was supposed to be the intern that was helping out.
Right.
But do we know for sure that the person he's speaking to on the bench is Joker?
No.
Okay.
I know what you're saying, because he was talking about, I was messed up during the Joker attack, so you're just assuming, unless that was a faux pas, that...
Well, I don't know. I mean, when he says that like that, I mean, clearly, if the Joker doesn't have his full memories back either, the assumption would be, after that whole thing was over with, that I can remember from that point forward. So logically, my life got screwed up at that point, right? I mean, if you're an amnesiac and that was the biggest thing that happened, you could extrapolate, clearly I got hurt during that, so here I am now. But you're right. I mean, is it really him or is it somebody else? I'm assuming it's him. I don't know what purpose it would lead to the story for it to be somebody else. Unless, I mean, and the other question is clearly how much does Bruce doesn't remember everything, or he's sure as hell know that who that really is, that he's sitting there having a conversation with. And might be inclined to let him blow his head off.
Yeah.
Sir, the gun.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what else? What else we got DC-wise?
What else you got?
Ivy?
I got we'll talk a little Ivy.
Poison Ivy, Cycle of Life and Death. Yeah, number 1.
Yeah, I felt it was a good first showing. I liked Harley's introduction because I felt it was the Harley that I liked, a little bit sharper Harley, a little bit less crazy Harley. but I mean, it was, Pam Isley being tough, using her brains as much as her skills. So, I guess I enjoyed it. I definitely think it'll be taking off from here. I think it'll be a little faster paced after this.
Yeah.
I have mixed feelings personally. Go ahead.
No, I think the Harley thing was, it's almost, it could, some people, I've been hearing that some people thought it was gimmicky, but I mean, recently, if anyone's been reading, obviously, the Harley title, you know that, I mean, even then going back to Gotham Sirens or whatever, I mean, the Harley Poison Ivy thing, that they're obviously tight, and especially now, they kind of like what they've been kind of flirting with, the relationship between the two. I thought, I mean, I didn't find it as gimmicky. I don't think it was as necessary per se, but I mean, if you're trying to or trying to really emphasize the point that, I mean, Isley's trying to go on the straight up, I mean, on the straight, and I kind of see the point in that. But.
Right. Well, I think the reason they put her in there also is Harley's saying, look, you need friends. You need some friends, and they're driving home the fact I feel like I'm more plant than human. We don't know what percentage it is. I'm perfectly happy just having my plants. That's what we're establishing here. I think they wrote her a little too hardcore on drilling on her on the whole Joker thing and her screwed up relationship with him. I don't have a problem with them having that conversation because Ivy is the person that has that conversation with her in the past. If you go back in their history, like the Gotham City Sirens, she's the one that's trying to help Harley get away from a dude that she thinks hurts Harley all the time. But in here, it's Rick. She should have the mallet hitting Harley over the head with how verbally abusive she is about how you're just stupid because you like this guy. And it feels like that comes way out of left field. I mean, Harley's saying, hey, you need to have friends. And Ivy's response to that basically is well, you're in love with a psychopath. You're dumb. I didn't like that. I mean, I don't think it's gimmicky that she's in it. I think it's smart to put Ivy. I think it's smart to put Harley in the book because Harley is so popular right now. The Harley fans are going to pick up this book because it's another book with Harley in it. I think salesmanship-wise, that's a smart thing to do. That conversation to me felt a little awkward and a little uncomfortable, just the way it's written. I mean, it's a conversation that's been had before. I think the reason they have her there is to help establish that Ivy is kind of being her own thing. She's moving more into the whole, I'm a plant, not a person. I don't need people. And the one person most of us who know anything about her can, if we're going to name off her friends, Harley's top of the list, and she's pushing that person away. So I think that's kind of establishing that, I think. So I don't have a problem with that. I think it's great for him to put in the Gotham Academy kids in here briefly too. I think those kind of guest appearances are kind of cool. It doesn't, it didn't screw up either book. It's not like, oh damn, now I have to go pick up an issue of Gotham Academy. But if you're a Gotham Academy fan, I hear there's this book. It kind of, in a way, tricks you into reading the book and maybe giving something else a try. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that works out well. But that whole conversation with Harley I thought was really awkward. There's some I like the art in places, and I think the art is also incredibly awkward in places. That splash page fight, this page to me is just weirder than hell. Why? I mean, I don't. The more I look at it, I just keep getting confused.
Well, you see, Isley's coming out from the wall. She's
okay. So or is that the floor? And if that's the floor, how is Harley? I'm just confused. How is Harley sideways? I mean, is Harley supposed to be the thing that's breaking these panels up? And if that's the case, this panel up here doesn't. If these are panels, they don't make sense because there's nothing in them. So it has to be a one-page splash page, but. So she's kneeing this guy in the groin, clearly. But does that mean she's breaking the floor? Harley's breaking the floor with her bodacious ass? I mean, is that what's happening? I don't know. I mean, so I'm about the comic. Yeah. I mean, I want to be great because I'm a Poison Ivy fan. I like Poison Ivy. I like the character. I like this new, version of her that came out in the New 52 even. So I'm happy to have the book here. I'm hoping the next book gets its feet under it more. I mean, this kind of gives us an idea of what's going to happen. There's a mystery at the end of this. She's got some super plans, and the one person that seemed to be treating her nicely and letting her get back to being a scientist is jacked up at the end of it. So, we've got a mystery. So I'm hoping it's going to be cool. I didn't hate it. There are just some odd things about it occasionally.
So is that going to be a limited series, or is it an ongoing?
It's six issues.
It is 6 issues, like the Swamp Thing?
Yep. What else?
Talk Batman and Robin Eternal real quick.
Sure.
This was led to believe a Jason Todd heavy issue. Not really as much, but still pretty good. We get a little bit more of an explanation of the Order of Saint Dumas's, I forget the name of it, Ikatish, or whatever it is. It's kind of like the nanobot version of the Vader gas. You get an explanation of how that works, kind of like how the system kind of works a little bit. So we end up getting a big fight with Azrael, and he kind of turns up against the Order of Saint Dumas, and the chapel or whatever, the cathedral, whatever, kind of goes down. So you're kind of left on a cliffhanger a little bit about what's going on with Azrael and how is he done and whatnot. But basically, he is kind of like Azrael as we kind of know him. Right around, well, I don't want to say right around Nightfall because he kind of went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs there. But basically, no man's land-ish type of thing. That's kind of like where we got Azrael right now. A little bit more on the good than the bad. And then we get Jason Todd's basically his fear scene with basically reliving the fight against Joker, which I thought was really good. He basically kind of turns the table against the Joker with the crowbar, and he's beating him with the crowbar, and basically Red Robin kind of snaps him out of it from going too far off the handle. And then the only thing I didn't really like it as far as the Jason Todd aspect of it is he got kind of soft toward the end, a little lovey-dovey with Timmy. This is what he was saying. I was like, oh, this not as Lobdell bad, but still, it wasn't in JT form.
He's just luring him into a element of feeling safe, so he can put a plastic bag over his head and get rid of him for good.
Exactly. Yeah. I know you've been talking to him. I know.
Yeah, trying everywhere I can.
And the cliffhanger is basically Batman comes back. He finds the gun. It's another flashback. He finds the gun in the trash can where we are led to believe he may have killed whoever. It's in a good place. The issue, it was okay. Not bad by any means. Not as good as the last one, but it's in a good place. 10 more issues left to go. The only thing if I had to knock this series right now is just, where is Stephanie? It's been no word of her since, so.
It's because she's a Batgirl.
Oh God, don't bring that up. Okay, well, I know we'll talk about it, but it's just, I mean, they literally left her back in Gotham, and that's it.
Yeah, they're utilizing spoiler like crazy. Boy, I'm glad they brought her back into the DC world. That's just great of them.
Speaking of, do you just want to go right into it?
Sure, Batgirl.
Son.
Issue number 47. Really?
They made her sound like such a ditz, and I can't stand that.
Who, Barbara?
No, Stephanie.
Oh.
Yeah, they've really turned her into the kind of the teen version of Dick Grayson from the TV show. Really, I mean, the gee whiz, boy, gosh. I mean, I don't know, and the continued rift on Cinderella through this whole thing and whatnot. I mean, it's.
Oh my God! The bike jumped off the roof. Oh my
Whoa!
God!
Yeah, because I mean,
oh, dude, did you not just sit there in Batman Eternal, literally do wheelies across bridges that are exploding, and that's gonna wow you? It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I'm glad I'm not reading anything else that she's in because I really have been enjoying her in Batgirl. I mean,
Okay.
I think that with Black Canary being gone from Batgirl, that kind of having her there is that person to talk to and everything. I've really enjoyed it.
I think Bluebird could be a good, I don't want to say counterbalance to Babs. Spoiler, though, I don't know. It's just because Babs, even where she's at now, she's still like way up here intellectually, and it just, I'm beating a dead horse. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I kind of agree with you in a sense. I mean, to me, they're kind of building up a new Birds of Prey of sorts. With this comic, they're gathering up a bunch of about the same age, like-minded female heroes. Now they've kind of introduced Bluebird to Batgirl and spoilers. Those are three of them. They've got the new Oracle, going. All they have to do, heck, is bring back Black Canary, and they're rolling again, right? That would be a cool team. I don't want these people to write that book, but I would read that book if it was somebody else. I've dropped this book. I think I've got one more issue coming to me, and then I'm done. I decided that it's. I don't have a problem with the tone as a whole. I don't like how they use Stephanie Brown in this. I think Stiller's kind of a ditz in this, in my opinion. I think she could be much sharper than what she is. She's too inconsistent. Here, she's very naive, and in lots of the other stuff, she's pretty sharp. So I agree with you, Luke, in the fact that in this she seems very inconsistent in comparison to the rest of the the DC universe. I just don't feel like they're actually executing anything and really going anywhere with the book. I don't have a problem with the tone. I don't have a problem with this look, this kind of pink and purple, shiny, happy. I like Babs Star. I like her style of art. I can get behind her faces and stuff. Babs didn't do the art inside on this one. I don't think she's doing the art on quite a few of them here recently, or coming up. But I don't mind her relationship with Fox, for instance. Yeah, I mean that's all okay. That would all be interesting. I don't think they write it very well, though. I just totally
they haven't managed to hold a thought on the story since taking over. I mean, there'll be 2 or 3 issues on one thing, and then 2 or 3 issues of something else, and they've never really. I mean, they'll make references every now and then, but never really revisit.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like every 2 or 3 issues I read, it's almost like I'm reading a totally different story.
I mean, tonally, like I said, I don't have a problem with the book. The new vibe versus the Gail Simone darker run. I don't have a problem with that. Me personally, I was freaked to start out with, like I've talked about lots of times. But the actual story just isn't there. Is the problem. I mean, they kind of looking ahead in the solicitations, they make it sound like they're that they turn a leaf by issue 50 or 51. By 50 she's dealt with whatever this thing is that's messing with her again. A few issues ago she had the computer personality of Barbara Gordon was messing with her. Now it's hinting that maybe it's back again. I don't know if that's really the case, but yeah, it's just, to me it's unfortunate. I mean, and like I said, I think the writers have a good vibe, and the creators have a good vibe of what they want to do with the comic. I just don't think they have an actual solid story to execute and tell us, and to me that's unfortunate. So it's a lot of whip topping without my actual ice cream in there to go with it. It is the problem.
I really miss Babs Star on this issue. I mean, I got so used to her art and everything that whenever you swapped up artists on this issue, I don't know. The way the story was, I don't know. The pictures weren't matching the story that I've gotten used to, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't mind the interior art on this one. I like Babs better, but definitely. But like I said, just kind of disappointed that the like I said, I think the vibe is there. I think it's a positive vibe for a different reader than what the old reader was. But execute something. Just execute something. That's all I want to see happen. So.
Do you have any idea what that thing at the end is? I'm drawing a blank on.
I don't remember the 22 comics I read the last.
Yeah, I don't know. He was.
That weird.
Yeah. He's in her dreams, that's why she was dumbing down.
Mm-hmm.
Was somehow he was dumbing her down and taking her memory, and so.
New to me. Yeah, I don't know what that. I don't know what that character is. So.
I don't know. He looked cool.
It's a new thing. So. Yeah. Okay. Robin, Son of Batman?
Yeah.
Want to talk about that, Luke?
Yep.
Love this cover.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did like that. It wasn't bad. I mean...
It's a Ray Fox written issue, so it's, not the regular writer or artist on the book. Tells us another kind of a one-and-done kind of a story that's told to us why he's getting his hair cut. Alfred's cutting his hair, and to settle him down, he tells a story. I liked that element of it was great. He's all squirrely.
As soon as I saw that, I figured this was going to be something like that type of story.
Yeah, I mean, so I like that element, for Alfred to get him to sit still long enough so he can cut his hair, because Alfred thinks he needs to get a trim.
And there's when Damien interacts with certain people, I just love it. Dick, obviously great, but when he acts with Alfred too,
yeah. So that part of it was great. I mean, the story itself, I was fairly simple and whatever.
I thought Fox did okay. I mean, it didn't seem like that sharp difference from what brain fart. What's his name's doing right now? Gleason. Yeah, it didn't seem like a shock. The art, that was probably
right. Yeah. But the nice thing is, though, with the way this series is set up right now, you can do this. You can have somebody else come in and tell a one and done, because it's just simply he's got all of these wrongs that he did as an assassin that he needs to go back and fix. So if they need a break, if the creators need a break, they can drop somebody else in and tell one of those stories of him breaking into a temple and fixing something, and then going on, so they can come back to it. It's whatever the point is and stuff. So
does Gleason normally do this book?
Yes.
Okay, so this was just a fill-in on okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was confused. I picked it up because I thought he was doing the story, and then once I started reading it, I was like, "Oh, wait a second, this isn't
right.
Isn't that at all?"
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he writes it and does the pencils for it. So. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you think of that coloring book cover?
On the Robin?
Yeah.
I like it. I haven't liked a whole lot of the coloring book covers, but I really like this one. The way that it's got all the Robins, kind of surrounding him and everything, as he's in the middle just kind of flying with him. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, I don't like it. I don't like it as much as some of the others. I mean, like the Red Hood and Arsenal was awesome, But yeah, it's a pretty good cover.
Okay, the only other DC book I got was Martian Manhunter #8. And I think me and Tom are maybe of a different opinion on the book. I'm still really enjoying it. Now we're on Mars. The planet Mars and Earth are about ready. New Mars and Earth are about ready to crash into each other. They got to do something to fix it. Martian Manhunter is the weapon. He's also seen as kind of like the equivalent of Superman. On Mars, he's like a savior that's going to save them all, as far as everybody's believes. So he's doing that while all these other, the main body of Martian Manhunter is going to attempt to save everyone, while the aspects of Martian Manhunter, Mr. Biscuits, and the FBI agent and whatnot are trapped with the humans, and they're basically going to do one last fight. This other Martian is kind of just committing all kinds of sacrifices of humans and Martians for this black magic to... He screwed the world up because Martian Manhunter broke himself up. He's not the ultimate weapon. So that's kind of screwed up this initial magic. He's at least going to make some magic to create a gate so he can run away from this disaster that's happening and maybe start over. And the humans aren't going to let them do that. So yeah, I'm still really enjoying it. I continue to love Mr. Biscuits. Mr. Biscuits is in this. He's locked in a cell, and he's like, yeah, whatever, I don't really care. And then he starts thinking about it. Wait, there's no pastry shops on Mars, so there's no biscuits on Mars. And if Mars smashes into Earth, all the pastry shops on Earth are going to be destroyed. He freaks out and he rips the door off of his cell, and he's like, hurry, we have to go save everything. He's like, how are we going to do that? And he goes, I have no idea, but this is important biscuits. I mean, I don't know. He's a ridiculous character, but I just like him. He's the fun of the book, and I like the aspect of him. The poor FBI agent is struggling with his identity. You know, he thought he was an FBI agent. He thought he was married. He thought he had a best friend. Now he's finding out that he's just this kind of fake aspect of a person, that he's a sliver of Martian Manhunter. I mean, he's been doing good, but he's not really a real person. So what's he going to do with himself? I don't know. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it. Eddie Burrows is back on art, and I dig Eddie Burrows' art. So, Tom, what you think? You said you weren't really feeling it anymore.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling this book because it kind of like we were saying about Batgirl, that it kind of seems to me like it's kind of all over the place, and I'm trying to, there's certain things that I really, really like, and certain things that I don't particularly care for. Like, I don't really care for the FBI agent's character that much, and so the parts of the story where he's in it, I would much rather that be Mr. Biscuits, and the little girl or something like that. I just don't really care much for that aspect. And I mean, maybe that's because of the fact that Mr. Biscuits is such a good character and everything. Right. But that I'm not liking the other guy as much. But all in all, I mean, the story and the art and everything's awesome. I really like that he was going to Mars and in this issue, and that you get to see like a little more of like his backstory and the history of who he really is, this champion of Mars and stuff that's going on. But I just kind of feel like the book just, when I think I understand where it's going, it'll shift, or it'll go and concentrate on a part of the story that I'm just not really liking near as much. I mean, it's still a decent book.
Yeah. One of the things I think is interesting is, I mean, for me anyway, my experience with Martian Manhunter is, he was the last Martian, and I always kind of assumed, and they've always kind of played on the fact that all Martians have the same powers as him, right?
Yeah, that's kind of another thing.
Whereas here he's not. I mean, here he's the equivalent of Superman on their planet. I mean, he is this created kind of, uber weapon, kind of a powerful creature. I mean, so like I said, he's almost godlike. He's their Superman. And then the rest of the Martians are just kind of more like us as humans, just people kind of living their lives. They have some exceptional fighters. They've got some good high tech, sci-fi kind of stuff. But they're just people. They can't all fly. They can't all phase. They can't all shapeshift. They can't all, have laser beam eyes and all the other cool stuff that Martian Manhunter has that we have. And I always, in the past, it's always been kind of all Martians were that way. But they're playing this different. That's not the case.
Yeah, I mean, when he very first showed up and he was dealing with the Martians and everything, I was kind of just like, I didn't really get why they were so like in awe of him flying down and everything. Like the one guy's like, oh, he really does fly. The stories are true and all. I was like, wow, he's almost as much of a like mythical being or whatever on that planet as he is on our planet or something. Just like a freak of nature. Yeah.
Right. I'm still liking it. It's still one of my favorite of the DC books and whatnot. It looks like in the comments a lot of people like it. That's great that many people are picking it up. It's just kind of our own, litmus test of this little chunk of the YouTube community that watches the round table and whatnot. So happy for that, because I'm always worried that this is one of those books that's got to be down towards the bottom of the sales kind of a thing. So, how long does it, stick around? I don't know. At what point do they decide that they're gonna, just pull the plug on
I
it?
really want Mr. Biscuits to get a spin-off book.
There you go.
I mean, I could all day long. I could read a story of him and this little girl going around, getting into crazy hijinks and stuff. I mean, I just.
Except she's not a little girl anymore. 18 years passed, and now she's a 20-some-year-old who's pretty bitter about how being left on Mars for 18 years by herself. So, yeah. So, any other DC books you want to talk about?
I have a couple, but I'm going to just do one more.
Sure.
Arkham Knight Genesis, the issue, this wraps it up. This one was okay, but I kind of like the event as a whole. If you ever read The Lost Days of Red Hood, this is like an updated version. Granted, it's set in the game, but if you like that story, you're going to love this. This is going to make a really good Jason Todd trade. Overall just a fun 6-issue mini. It was good.
Yeah. Okay. Any other books we want to talk about? No?
That's all I got.
We want to roll into the DC news. What's news and what's rumor and everything in between. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly where we want to start.
Dan, yeah, I believe that the publisher has decided just to start doing human sacrifices and is hoping for money just to rain down upon them. That's a rumor. I'll just put it down. That's a rumor.
Before we go crazy, want to talk the Suicide Squad trailer?
Oh, sure. Let's talk the Suicide Squad trailer. That was exciting, huh?
Yes. Yep. I enjoyed that. That's Jared Leto looks like he's gonna do a really. Granted, it was only a couple seconds, but and it looks good.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing for me. What we see of it, it looks really great. It looks super exciting. You put an awesome Queen song over the top of them blowing the hell out of stuff and whatnot. I don't know. I mean, unless you have no pulse, I don't know how you can't get excited about that. Now, what does the movie really entail? I don't know that we know, based on that trailer, because the only person who has a real line in it, I guess Amanda Waller has a line saying that she wants to, of course, get together the worst of the worst, and we get a wonderful I'm crazy but I'm not crazy. You better watch out for me. Set of lines from Harley, which is great.
I loved Katana's sword, and the way that Katana's sword looked with the Mist of Soul thing coming up off of it. I thought was amazing.
But I don't know how much of Katana we're really going to get. Just like, I mean, how much of Killer Croc are we going to get? How much of of some of those other characters are we really going to have? I don't know. I mean, so if it's an action film, I'm excited for it. How I'm just curious. I'm curious to see what the story is going to be. Is it literally just going to be the equivalent of a Schwarzenegger or a Sylvester Stallone movie where they have an objective and they just go and blow it up, or is there going to be more depth to it? I'm curious to see which direction they go with it. Excited either way. I'll be there opening night to watch the thing, because I'm a DC fan, not a Marvel fan, and but I don't know. I mean, I'm more excited by it than I am excited by, like, when I saw the trailers for Guardians of the Galaxy. I was whatever. But that's the difference between my love of one set of characters versus the other. I'm sure. But
what I think will be interesting is almost every iteration of Suicide Squad, there's always has to be that one character that you kind of know the name of, that they have to show that if they go against the rules, the head explodes. So I'm trying to guess that whose head is going to pop in this. So.
Who gets whacked right off the bat? Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting. Like I said, it's a great group of characters. I think they have decent actors for all the parts. Curious to see how much of a role really the Joker actually plays in the movie. Because to me that's kind of disappointing. I really rather the Joker not be in it at all. So I mean, I get in some sense why they're putting him in there, but. To me, despite the animated movie about the Suicide Squad, the Joker has nothing to do with the Suicide Squad. It doesn't really, and I don't know that I'm not sure that we needed. And of course, this is me just saying stuff now having not seen the movie. So, and I don't know that we need the Joker I don't know that we need the Joker to identify with Harley. Harley has to have more substance than at this point, I would hope, with as popular as her character is, that they're going to create some substance to her that doesn't just make her a shadow or a broken piece of the Joker. I mean, that's how she started out. That's how the character was originally introduced. She was just kind of, the cute girl that hops around on a pogo stick and says puddin' and pulls out her own mallet and a silly big gun. We've kind of, I hope she's moved beyond that. I mean, I'm assuming she's moved beyond that in her own comic that I don't read anymore. So I hope the movie doesn't back her up to being a
that's my worst fear about the movie.
Just simply being a broken piece of the Joker, that she's not her own thing. So,
I think a little bit of it is the Joker will be used as her origin story too, because I think they showed her getting dunked in the chemical, and then some of that.
New origin, yeah.
So I think it's going to tie in a little bit more at the beginning of the storyline, and then maybe they'll add him at the end.
And who knew the Joker was an Olympic diver? I didn't know that.
Yeah. There you go. So yeah, I mean, I was excited about it. Like I said, you put a bunch of action, comic book characters in action to a Queen song, and I'm.
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody should really be the theme song for any action movie that you're ever going to make after watching that trailer, I think.
Yeah.
It's just the way it builds.
But yeah, so I mean, that was cool. Of course, this week, did anybody watch Legends of Tomorrow?
Yes. Yep.
It was just a couple days ago. I thought it was fun. It felt very much like a comic book. I mean, it had a lot of comic book elements in it, so you can either laugh at those and go, well, that was really weak, or you can go, oh yeah, that's comic book elements, kind of stuff. So, I'll keep watching.
I think one of the downfalls, though, is I heard that it costs so much to make, though, that they can maybe only get one season out of it unless they get crazy numbers.
Okay. When it aired Thursday, it got more views than the rest of the channels.
Oh, excellent. All right.
So, I mean, if a CW show is trumping, CBS and NBC, that has to be good for CW. I don't know, I don't know the costs and whatnot and how that all works, but that has to be exciting for them. If their silly, youth shows, as a lot of the rest of the industry likes to call them, are trumping their shows, that's, I think, a good thing.
I hope they take that money and reinvest it in their website.
But you're right. They need to, but they have to keep the special effects up. Almost all of those characters have flashy superpowers. It's not simply shooting a bow and arrow like the Arrow is, or making a little bit of the screen blurry for the Flash. They've got more going on. So, yeah, I don't know. If it only lasts a season, whatever. I'm gonna watch it for a while, but it may end up like everything else. It's on all the other superhero shows are on my DVR, and I'm like 5 or 6 episodes behind on most of them. So, get to them at some point, I'm sure. But yeah. So we want to talk DC actual publishing of their comics and all that kind of good stuff. Let's start with in general. So rumor has it, I don't know how solid it is or whatnot, because I got tired of trying to figure out what was real and what was bullshit out of Bleeding Cool. Supposedly come June, DC is going to re-kickstart everything again. At least the numbering, it may not be a true reboot, but they're starting all the numbers over again. That's when they're going to shift some of the comics to the bi-monthly, twice a month, kind of a thing. I've even heard it go so far as we're going to see even more of the stuff that's connected to movies and television and less of everything else. So that would be more Batman. I don't know how that's possible. More Suicide Squad, more Superman, more Wonder Woman, that sort of stuff. That's what we're going to see more of. And that this is coming down from the highest of echelons in Warner Brothers, not necessarily the people who are the actual comic book people, and of course, when you get your marching orders, you march, right? So my first thing is I hope that part is not true. The let's get rid of everything that isn't attached to some other sort of media. That's going to be a shame, because there's a ton of comics we're going to lose if that's the case, and I think that's just kind of criminal. But so, what are the pros and cons of DC deciding to renumber everything?
The con, that's the one thing I hate that Marvel does. I just can't stand it.
Okay,
and
so you
DC hasn't done it. I don't like. I like the 700 number.
Okay.
I love it.
So the con is that for somebody who wants to collect a long run of something, the run feels fractured. Even if it picks right up again with issue 1, it's got the same people on it telling the same story. The fact that it says number 1 on it makes it feel fractured in some sense. Okay. So the pro of that would be
you're getting issue number 1s and your sales are gonna.
Well, so that's one of the pros, right? Is if you're a retailer. Go ahead, Millie.
No, I would say I think it's good on the opposite end of that, like getting long runs. I think it's good for new readers, for people that are just getting into comics, seeing a number 1. It's really easy to jump on, even if it is a continued storyline. Just seeing a number 1, it's easy for new people to kind of see that number 1 and say, hey, I can jump onto that.
Yeah.
Instead of like an issue 600, whatever. It can be.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, we're only 50 issues. I mean, we're getting ready to hit issue.
Okay, so 50 issues of story, though, Luke. If you want to know the whole thing before you step into it, 50 issues is a lot of issues to go back and buy, either in trade or otherwise.
It's a couple trades if you're just curious. I mean.
But see, not everybody collects like you do, Luke, where they want to get all the Batman stuff, so they don't have a problem going back and buying those 5 issues. They want to get in at ground level of whatever is coming. All I know is from the New 52 and the New 52 hit. That's the best example I have of where everything stopped and everything started. There are a ton of people, across YouTube, across Twitter that I talk to that either are new comic book readers because of it, or they were 15, 20-year lapsed comic book readers who started back in because of the new numbering. So I see both sides of it. It doesn't end my world if they get renumbered. I think it's unfortunate. I think it's unnecessary for books that aren't changing at all. Why renumber? But I get the idea behind that. And as much as those of us who say we don't like it, they keep doing it because people keep buying it. And we are our own worst, as consumers, we are our own worst enemies, because as long as we keep buying into what they keep selling, they're going to keep doing it. And Marvel keeps hanging at the top of the comic book sales. Why? Not necessarily because they're putting out a better product, because I question whether or not they really are, but there's always something new to keep buying from them, and that's the stuff that keeps floating to the top lots of times, is this new stuff. So I don't know. I mean, it's that whole numbering thing is a whatever. So if it's
the numbering too, but what I don't want to do have happen as well is just kind of what you saw towards the end of the pre-New 52. Some of the stuff felt kind of rushed.
They just phoned it in because they're trying to get to the.
But I think at the same time that New 52, since it originated, has made a point of doing things to 52. That, I mean, it makes perfect sense that they would relaunch at 52, because I mean, they put out things in 52 issue runs here or there, or different stuff that they do. So I mean, it totally makes sense that they would do it. But I'm kind of insulted by it, being one of those people that didn't read comics for 15 years, and then the only reason I started reading comics again was because of the New 52. And have defended New 52 against people that didn't like it for whatever reason. It's almost like they're just kind of like turning their back on those people. I mean, to me, and and relaunching it. I don't know.
Well, see, I guess I don't see it that way, and I guess I don't take it personally because it's already happened to me. I'm somebody who was happily collecting, 300 plus issues of Batman and Detective, and they shut it down on me when it was a 300. I mean, those are epic numbers. You know, and I get why people are afraid to jump into epic numbers, but from a long-term collecting standpoint, that's freaking awesome to have this, 200 and some odd issues of Daredevil, or whatever is out there. That's epic. That feels cool to have that kind of stuff, And so they already shut me down. So at this point, I don't care if they do it again, I guess, because they've already screwed it up once. Marvel does it all the time now, and so whatever. I mean, so like I said, if you've been collecting it, it's insulting, or it makes you mad because now you have to go the whole new numbering again and all that. If you're somebody new jumping into comics, yay. And I guess I'm falling more on the if I'm new into comics, yay side of it, because I know as a consumer, I need more consumers to be consuming comics for my comics to stick around. So more new people. I'm excited when new YouTube channels crop up and somebody's saying, I just started reading I just started into comics, and it was this number one of this, or it was that number one of that. That's where they start at. Woohoo! Because there's somebody else pumping money into the machine, so I can read the comics that I want to read. Unfortunately, that creates, like I said, this thing. I don't know. At some point, will all this keep changing the number ones? Will it end? It might. It might end. People are going to enough people get fed up with it, and we quit buying them. It'll be that way. But are we going to quit buying them? Those people who are fans of Daredevil, when Daredevil was going along, Chris Samney and Mark Waid on the book, and I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on you, Millie, because there are a ton of us that were reading it before. Then they stopped it. They raised it $1, and they started at number one. And it's the same people telling the exact same story, other than he moved to a new city. Nothing changed. They were still addressing some of the same stuff and whatnot, but everybody kept buying it because it was still awesome.
And actually,
I say this, I'm a hypocrite, I guess, because that's literally why I jumped on Daredevil #1, give it a try.
Sure.
And I got it, but it's just, I don't know. It sort of is. And if you look at it too at the same time, if you end up getting a better product at the end, does it make it a little better? Yeah. I just don't like it. It's just the business part of it. You know what's going to happen. I think it's going to be inflated. You can get all these number ones. People are going to award number ones, and then it's not really telling the whole picture. The great picture.
Financially, it's going to tell the immediate picture, and that's what
immediate.
They want now.
Exactly.
They want dollars. I mean, so this conversation can go on a long time around some of this, in my opinion. I think both Marvel and DC are very short-sighted when it comes to their comics, and I think that's the people above the comic level that have the short-sightedness about how to approach this stuff. Neither one of these companies, I think, give a rat's ass at the top about legacy, about the long term of these comics going back to them at some point, and being able to look at this and go, man, this was a great run. Do you remember this great run that these people did? That run of Snyder's or whatever that's out there. I don't think we're going to have that. I don't think that's going to exist because they're not looking at it in those wonderful long run type terms and whatnot. And I'm not exactly 100% sure why that doesn't happen. I don't know if it's because creators get fatigued being on the same books. I think that Waid Samney on Daredevil is an oddity. I think Snyder and Capullo on Batman are an oddity as far as the same people staying on the same books for a really long time like that for 50 issues anymore. It doesn't happen. They're the weird thing. But I think they're short-sighted. I mean, that's just kind of my opinion, and I think that's kind of been my opinion since the relaunch of the New 52. It's smart to get new people in, but they're not thinking about their legacy. They're not thinking about, they're talking about, Batman's been around for 75 years, isn't this awesome and whatnot. Well, yeah, there's this awesome legacy. There were some turkeys and some bad stuff in there, no doubt about it. But there's a legacy there, and are we treating the legacy nice now? I don't know that we are. Problem is there's corporations that have control of these comic book companies that have nothing to do with comics. I think that's a problem. So the short-sightedness, whoever's at the top, that's what's exciting. So when DC hits all these new number ones, you're going to get people who who have been are jumping into comics right now with these Marvel number ones, they're gonna go, ooh, here's this whole other line of comics that's now number ones. I can get in on it. I just watched a hangout yesterday, with a bunch of ladies, and they were all talking about the fact, well, yeah, when some of those are like really new, like they've only bought like a couple months worth of comics, and they're saying, hey, these new number ones are gonna hit. I'm gonna be buying.
Yep.
The companies are all excited for that.
Yeah. To add on to Travis's, I think that's the problem is why we can't keep some legacy while new. Because, I mean, like with Batman, Luke, you collect 5 comics some week. It just makes me wonder why. Because I always just think, like, Batman itself could continue on to 600, 700. But then there's, Son of Batman, Batman and Robin, Batman Weekly, Batman. There's all these other new books that could be new or could be restarted, but keep one legacy book. I don't understand why we can't do that.
I think that's kind of what you almost had after Convergence a little bit with the DCU, sort of.
Right.
We had certain books that kept going, and then we rebooted Suicide Squad, and then we got new comics that start out as number ones, like the comics that are like 8 issues and 11 issues, right?
And Mike, I'd love that. That'd probably be, I think, the best case scenario. If you're gonna look at it that way, as far as appeasing kind of both sides of the story. You got
renumber Detective Comics back to its original. Renumber Action Comics back to its original numbers, and keep those in the crazy hundreds and hundreds that they are, and whatever. But
I just hope they keep their crosses at $2.99 and don't relaunch. I know they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's coming, but I mean that's one of the reasons that I read a lot of titles from DC that I don't read titles from Marvel. Is even if a book's not necessarily exactly what I want, because I've got the whole run on that book, like Green Lantern. I'm going to continue to read that book. Honestly, if they decide they want to relaunch at 52. Then that'll be a good point for me to bookend and say, okay, well, I'm not going to be on this book anymore unless it's somebody that I really want to read their book on the backside.
And somebody in the things was asking, is this like a soft reboot and whatnot? I don't know if you can use the word reboot at all. They're going to renumber books. I don't think they're throwing everything out again like they did with the New 52, where they literally, except for a little bit of Green Lantern history and a little bit of Batman history, they freaking chucked everything else and started over again. Everybody became, 10 years younger, and superheroes that only existed for, Batman had existed for 5 years as a secret superhero, and otherwise the word superhero had only been in existence for a year. We're not going back to that. I don't think that's what's going to happen. Of course, we haven't heard a lot about it. I just think we're going to get all numbers. We're going to go back to number ones. Everything's going to go back to number one. So I don't use the word reboot in that way. For me, it's a renumbering. Reboot means you're pulling the plug on it and starting over. And I don't think they're doing that. Are we going to get new things out of this? Are we? Is there going to see? Are they calling it rebirth? Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
Rebirth. I mean, you can only get born once, right? I mean, you can get born again, right? I don't know. I don't know. So, I mean, cute word, cute catchphrase for what it's going to be. I don't know. I'm clearly of mixed feelings. Is that going to stop me from buying the comics I want to get? No. The biggest thing out of all that rumor that scares me the most is if they really truly are gonna shrink away from this sort of stuff, and all I'm gonna see is the Trinity and spin-offs of the Trinity.
Yeah.
I love the Trinity. Don't get me wrong, I love the Trinity, but I don't want everything to be that. Just like I don't want my Marvel Comics books to only be X-Men and Avengers.
Yeah.
I want that other stuff. The universe is too cool and too big to limit it to just Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. If Wonder Woman's lucky.
I think it's just the side effect of the movies and stuff being so good. It's just kind of like a double-edged sword, They kind of have to appeal to that type of stuff because I don't know.
Yeah, sure. So
well, I hope that
what it comes down to is the movies are successful. So as the movies start to people get more excited about the movies, the parent companies realize, hey, this stuff has a dollar value for that, and so they take a larger interest in this stuff that they really didn't care about before, that they just had ownership in it for the sake of ownership in it in some sense. Then now they're going to abuse it and try and run it in ways that don't make sense for comic books because of the money that it generates outside of that.
I really hope I get a really good Aquaman title out of it. That because of the movies and everything, and Aquaman, having his own movie and this, that, and the other, that I can get a really, really good Aquaman title.
What would be a really good Aquaman title? What would that look like?
To me, I don't know. Jeff Johns would probably write it because I mean, the beginning of the New 52, I really liked the the way everything was going, but then I don't know. It just kind of like, to me, like issue 30 kind of seemed like it got lost or whatever. But I mean, I like it like his character in Injustice, where he is this warrior of Atlantis type of character that I don't know.
Yeah, put him back in long hair and make him a badass.
Yeah, I want Jason Momoa in a comic book. That's what I want.
I might actually read a comic book if that was the case.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, for me, I really think it's the parent companies, it's the Disneys, it's the Time Warners, and they have a completely different vision. It's money. It's about money. Clearly, it's a business. I get that, but I don't know. There seems like there should be some respect for the legacy that's there, and what you could do otherwise. And of course, we talked price point a little bit. The price is going to go up. I know everybody groans about that and whatnot. I have my own mixed feelings on the price of a comic book. I kind of feel like the people who are creating this product, if they're making a good book, they should be paid decently for the work that they're doing. And they can't get paid a decent wage if they aren't making money on it. So I don't know. I'm not naive. I know only a portion of that is going to those creators versus what's going to the rest of the company and whatnot. But it is sad that we're getting more and more $5 comic books, though. Marvel, 2 years ago was pushing the $4 comic book. That seems to be no big deal now. Now we're rolling into a lot more $5 comic books. It's going to get hard. There's no doubt about it. It's going to make it really, really think about how you want to. They're going to chase us away from singles at some point, right?
Yeah. Well, and do you also think that this is creating a bubble then? I mean, if they think they're getting only the new people from movies, or is this sustainable?
I don't think it's sustainable.
I don't know. Do you have to sell less? Do they have to sell less to us longtime consumers because they're more expensive, because they got new people coming in? I mean, I know new people come in from the books, from the movies and from the TV shows and whatnot. I mean, I get that, and that's where more of the new readers are probably coming from. Is it really a lot, though? I don't know. I don't know.
Because I know we've discussed, I mean, people like certain things on certain medias. We don't talk about reading a whole bunch of Batman novels. We don't.
Right.
I think there's just I don't think there's that many people jumping over from movies to comics, at least that I've seen. I think we have a lot that are voicing on YouTube, but those are the ones, I think that is a strong fraction is what it is. It's people that have watched a movie, got really behind it, read the comics, do the YouTube, and that's the strong new force that's definitely making this amazing wave. I don't know that there's a whole lot of support behind that.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, and then there's the whole independent, thing that's going on, and the interest that's there, and I think the draw there is bigger. Maybe the big two are your introduction to comic books, but once you start realizing that, wow, sequential art and comic books are a cool way to tell a story, that There's all this other stuff out there, all these other stories, and so people are drifting to that. You know, my only other concern is if this is a bubble, and the big two are creating this thing, if they break it bad enough, it's going to screw all the other stuff up. Because as much as everybody talks about how big Image Comics is and all this stuff, there's still only like a 13-14% of the market. If 8% of the market collapses and Diamond Distributors folds because they're not getting any money because the big two collapse, it screws everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, if because the big two are the machine. Everybody else is riding on the back of the machine. If the machine breaks, we're all screwed as far as getting physical comics, I think. So there is a certain fear to that. I mean, it happened in the 90s when Marvel started buying distributors and whatnot, and they had to basically file for bankruptcy and everything was collapsing because everybody thought that they could go buy the they created a market based on selling 300,000 copies of X-Men, and that all went to crap. If that happens again, I don't know. Will we survive another one? I don't think we will because the distribution system has gotten so much leaner. If it goes to crap, could be ugly. Could be really depressing. Comic books, we love them. Why are they screwing them up for us, right? So the numbering thing is a bummer, but it's not going to keep me from buying books. Price keeps going up. That's going to affect me. Let's go on to the next thing. This whole 2 books a month thing, which and Batman's going to be one of them. It sounds like Scott Snyder is moving to Detective Comics. You got an issue with that, Luke? You're the big.
Yeah, I mean,
on Batman.
He'd done it before. So
personally, that's his favorite Batman stuff. Was his detective when he first got on Detective? That's my favorite Batman stuff by Snyder.
And I would like to see him since Detective, I guess, is not going to be the bi-weekly thing. Kind of give him room where he doesn't need to do sprawling epics. They can be short stories. You know what I mean? I think that's something he really wanted to do.
Is it?
I think to be honest, I think in the Batman one, I think he's kind of, I don't want to say forced, and don't get me wrong, I love it.
The trade?
To do the trade things, do the runs, the events, the thing that generating. I mean, maybe this one he's on his own. It's, like I say, he doesn't have to do that, but I'm fine with it. I mean, it's whether or not I would like, who's the artist? Who the heck knows? Because I think that's also too. It's gonna be really who he's paired with. If he's not gonna get someone decent, it might seem like
they aren't gonna, unless he is falling out of favor with the company. They are not gonna pair him up with a hack.
Oh yeah, I know that.
No, they're not gonna. Will one artist stay on it like Capullo did? I don't know about that, but. But yeah, they're not gonna put a hack on there with Snyder. Like I said, unless Snyder's falling out of favor. I just saw on Twitter today he's talking about 6 months from now. 6 months from now, we're gonna see him and Capullo back together doing something that's bigger and grander than anything before. Which is pretty much his sales pitch. I mean, I think he believes it, but yeah, I'll be done with Batman. To be honest with you, right now, Batman's a comic book I've bought for forever. When it goes to twice a month. I don't see what they are possibly going to do with that book that would make me stay on it. I don't know how they would write it. I don't know how they would do the art on it or any consistency that would make me stay on that book. I'll be done. Thank you, Marvel. Thank you, Marvel, for that. For that.
And
it works.
I'm reading it with Spider-Man right now, and this is kind of like a bad example because Spider-Man is just not in a good place right now. It's just, but that said, it's not. I don't think it's any different. But then again, this is not really it's not really a good example. But.
Batman is their #1 selling book. It's the #1 selling book partially because Capullo and Snyder are on it. It's also the #1 book because Batman, quite frankly, is one of the most popular characters in existence.
So that's it. I think you're going to get probably the best team to make it work.
Even if they don't, even if they get a hack team on it, people are going to keep buying it because there are people who are just avid. Joshua Hayes is going to keep buying it because it's Batman, right? He's not unique. you're not unique, Luke, in the fact you buy as much Batman as you do. There are tons of Batman buyers out there. They're going to buy it, and they'll buy it and bitch about every issue that sucks, but they're going to keep buying it because it's Batman. It's part of their collection, and you keep buying it. I'm not saying I'm not guilty of that. I buy a lot of turkeys that I bought for a long time, and because it's a character I love, I keep buying it. I am slowly over the years getting out of that practice. Not saying anybody else should. I mean, I get the loyalty to a character and loyalty to your collection, but I don't know. If it's going to start at a new #1, it's the perfect time for me to go, you know what, I don't need to keep that addiction going. It's time to jump off. I just think that it's clear business sense for them to be smart. Gee, Batman is consistently one of the top-selling comic books. If we can sell it twice a month, it's going to sell, 300,000 issues a month because we're selling it twice a month. It's going to be huge. Harley Quinn's another example. That's going to go to double too because people are loving the crap out of it. It's being consumed by basically non-comic book readers are consuming that book. So why not put it out twice a month? People demand it, supposedly. We want more of it. Can you give me more? And so they're going to give more. It's a question of, is the quality going to be there? And where's the breaking point on that quality? I'm a snotty elitist comic book reader, I guess, and I know the quality's going to dip on those books, so I don't want it because that's just going to frustrate me. And I don't want to come on this show every week and complain about something being crappy all the time. It's why I'm not collecting some of the books that I've been talking about, complaining about for the last 2 times. So, and I'm just being a Debbie Downer maybe about those books, and maybe they'll do a cool way of making a double a month book work. That they won't be connected, but they'll be connected in the same way. They'll just say Batman on the title, and they put it out twice a month. Maybe that's the key.
You don't do the sprawling epics. You really do kind of keep it as simple as you can. I don't know. I mean, it worked before. I mean, how they used to be back in the day.
And how many of you guys are reading the weekly book right now?
Oh, I mean, I don't think as many, but I mean.
Well, I think a lot of you are. Everybody sounds like they're enjoying it more than the last weekly, but clearly the weekly that's been successful. So that may not be attainable to do all the time, but maybe they figure the biweekly is a little more attainable. But if you're gonna tell the same story through both issues, coming out, it's gonna be. I don't see how it's gonna be inconsistent because the art will be inconsistent unless you get 2 artists that kind of work to look like each other's style. The art will be inconsistent. I mean, is it going to just be even that much more decompressed? I mean, right now, some of these stories are fatiguing because they're so decompressed, nothing happens. Are they just going to decompress it even further over 2 issues? Or is it going to be a Batman 1, Batman 1.1, Batman 2, Batman 2.1? And if it's going to be that, is it going to be like your Spider-Man, where you're going to be like, either one is cool, it's got a great story going on, and the other one is some strange, Gordon's still in the bunny suit, playing Batman, why am I reading this, kind of a thing. I don't know. Like I said, it's maddening, I guess, to think about too much. I'll look and see what it really ends up being. Clearly, we know for sure just from watching Snyder's feed, he is going to Detective. That's a done deal. He's going to be done with Batman at some point in June, which seems to coincide with when all this other stuff's going to happen. Yeah. Which I'm not totally sold on how official all that rebirth thing is, but if there's a name for it already, it must be something for real. So.
And Convergence turned out to be nothing.
Well, we knew what that was, though. I mean, if you went into that thinking it was anything other than, oh shit, we need something to fill in 2 months worth of space while we pick up our headquarters and move it, I mean, I think you got hoodwinked by the snake oil salesman that tried telling you that was something other than what it was. So, sorry, Luke.
No, all right.
But if you enjoyed it, then it doesn't matter. And there was some fun stuff that came out. There were some fun stories. But it was just a fill-in kind of a thing. Oh, yeah. It was never meant to be some thing to launch something else. I don't think it was ever really that. So, but yeah. So, big changes ahead in June. It'll be here before we know it. So we'll all be on here talking about what kind of decisions we're making or not making, right?
And I think that's gonna be almost the hard part. Is it's gonna make you, I think, choose. I think your pull list might drop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know mine's gonna change. Like I said, the biggest thing about all this the biggest thing that worries me is, like I said, if they shrink the depth of the universe again, because it felt to me like they did that with the New 52. They shrank it some and then started to expand it. If they go to this new, they renumber everything and they shrink it again, to me that's a bummer. The DC universe is a smart, cool, open place. So is the Marvel universe. If they shrink it down to only a few samples of that, it's a shame. So, anything else? Anything else you want to talk about? Go out on some high note. See, we should have talked about the suicide trailer at the end.
Yeah.
Then we could have been happy about something or whatever. But I'm not. Like I said,
anyone see the Wonder Woman thing?
Yeah, it did look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, we don't get enough there to know what the movie's gonna be like, but it looks good. Her wandering amongst the crowd, incognito looks great. I think what little bit we got of that. I'm with Kevin Smith. You put Wonder Woman on a horse charging into battle with a sword and whatnot. Take my money. I'm there. I'm super stoked for that. I think anybody who thought that Gadot wouldn't look good as Wonder Woman is nuts. She's great. But what it really comes down to, the look of it doesn't matter, in my opinion, as much as how well is it written. Is she going to come off as being, the smart, compassionate, kind, powerful person that she should be? If they write her like that, it doesn't matter whether she's too skinny, she's too fat, she's too curvy, she's too flat-chested, her hair looks fake. Won't matter. She'll rock it if they write it well. It'll be inspiring. I'm super excited for it.
They'll just have to put her in some larger shoes so that they can make a 5'6" Amazon look good. But other than that, because she's only 5'6", but I am one of those people that dogged on when she got cast on it. But man, having seen everything, seen her in the outfit, and just how just awesome she looks, and she's a good actress. So. Yeah.
So for me, from the very beginning, it didn't matter. I mean, as far as body type, you can make that look good on film. I think personally, regardless of the body, like I said, they could have gotten a quote unquote heavy girl, which that annoys me to no end, to play the character, and it would be just as good and just as cool as long as you, like I said, you write her well enough to be, the hero she should be. But like I said, what I saw of it looked freaking awesome. I'm super stoked. For that movie too. I'll be in line to watch it. And just to be a further jerk, I will not be first in line to watch the Deadpool movie. I know people have been talking about it in the comments that Marvel still wins, like there's a competition. Marvel still wins because the Deadpool looks way cooler than the Suicide Squad or whatever. I don't know.
Why is it that DC can't do animated?
For me, pausing in mid-car roll to go, did I leave the toaster on? Does not beat what? I should kill everybody. That's what the voices say. No, that's not the voices say. Thing from Harley. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't. Harley's line beats Deadpool any day of the week, but we can fight about it. For me, it's not pro Marvel or pro DC. It's just, let's have some awesome movies. So don't get into that whole fight. At any rate, I think that's the show. I'm getting hoarse. We've been on a long time, babbling about depressing stuff that I'm sure we'll bring up again as it becomes more rock solid as what's happening. We'll be out there complaining or pumping up whatever is going to be next. So I want to say I'm excited to see what's coming. I'm not going to lose sleep over the number change. I figured it was only a matter of time, quite frankly, before it was going to happen. So let's see. Like I said, as long as they don't throw everything out with it and shrink the world, I'm excited. My excited face. And we'll go out. And we'll go out with that. You know, anybody got any parting words they wanna level upon the world?
I just want to say to anyone who is enduring the blizzard, stay safe and stay warm and everything.
Yes. My title's a joke, but definitely if you are in the the East Coast in any part of that belt of frozen hell that's going on, enjoy it from your window, looking at the beautiful world out there. Hopefully it resolved itself before those of you who unfortunately have to go back to work when that starts back up. But yeah.
Stay inside and read those comics.
That's right. That's the beauty. You got all these awesome comics to read. Gives you time to catch up. Everybody's always talking about, oh, I'm so far behind reading my books. Gives you time to catch up on it all. And I'll even commit this sin. If you run out of comics, there's always digital.
Don't say it. Oh.
No, I said it. I said it. But you get desperate.
Yeah.
It's there. It's easy. It's the push of a button. And I know there's deals out there on some great stuff. So, anyway, thank you all for watching. Thank you that hung out in the comments and commented to us. And clearly, a ton of you had awesome conversations amongst yourself. And that's awesome. That's why we're here, is all of us to talk comics and our love of comics and our love of complaining about comics and all of its woes. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming on, talking books with me. I really appreciate it. Maybe we'll see some of you next week. Have a good one, everybody.